They've got the protocols in place just in case there are signs of that util. Meteor holding it tucked up close as well. There's no follow-up. Again, still up and over. Able to trade it. The door into their face and a full sight defense occurring here by Gen.G. Nobody looking to try and repurpose out through A main. Everybody locked onto the sights here, but the one way they choose to fight this way.
It will be better,
again, this retake is
than
getting
before.
more
Everything
difficult.
should work.
Immediately dealt with time
And
is ticking
we are back
away.
live.
Sentinels running out of those options. Double up, high low. Gonna try and push them back and away. Lakia, last one left, and he will
Everything
fall
should
in the
work
end.
seamlessly
So,
now.
just in time here for Sentinels, I believe.
Yeah, only about a second on the clock though.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Yeah, right on the money.
Oof. Very
A
tough.
good round from Sen there in terms of how they
Hats off to the
squeezed Gen.G.
streamers.
That pressure coming through, double swing over towards heaven, making sure that they dominate that angle. The Gen.G players in the post plant
Anybody
couldn't
can
hold
hear
it,
me?
ended up
I am audible. Is
giving
the
that up and
voice
tucking into positions
available?
like Dice and Hell.
Because
Who's
it's
dropped off in
chalu
terms
hai,
of his
ab chal
flagging
kyun
his
nahi rahi? I
output
don't
a
know
little
why.
bit compared to
If
his
you are watching this, just drop a
astonishingly
comment
strong
down
Madrid
below, so
performance
at least I
where
know
they lifted that
you
trophy.
are watching it.
I'm paying attention to John and how he gets his rifle impact in a lot of these rounds here at Champs.
Zekken not caught in the transition there, just trying to exit out of wine, and there's plenty more players where that came from. Gen.G, we're going to try and go into this one fast, tempo, increase 10s, taken out, Zekken followed up to trade in sight. Only gets the one down, which was textured, out revealing quite a few of them.
Yeah, I'm done.
Locked down by Meteor, this is unconventional.
I like it though. You know, we saw Sentinels before get 3 detained and still win the round. They're in a 3v4 situation here though, and this should allow a great plan. I mean, this one also planted for short. If they wanted to send somebody on a wraparound,
Very heads up.
perhaps Lakia is going to take that option.
Right here.
It's around here, drone's going to be used again.
Yeah.
Set that
अब
stage
देखते हैं
here.
भाई मैच फिर लगान दो
Tag up.
दुनियादारी को
First piece of
फोकस
util
करके
forward,
मैच
but
पर
Gen.G
ठीक है
stalwart defense that they've really cooked up here now that they've at least taken control of the site. Look at that. As soon as they hear the footsteps and the util, it's a dart and spam out from below, and already the players are repositioned.
4-6 हो गया जब
is
चालू
ticking
करा था
away,
4-0 था
and Sentinels
ठीक
realize
है
it.
लाइट जा चुकी है AC बंद हो
Has to be
चुका
that
है
save, have to back away.
और
How many
भाई
rounds do
लास्ट ईयर
Sentinels need, even if they were able to get pistol
तगड़ा
their
player
first
है
to the
भाई।
match and be able to carry some momentum forwards on their attack half? I think
भाई
anybody
सब अभी परेशान
that
करेंगे
wants to
फोन
see
अभी आएगा
Sen
व्हाट्सएप अभी
recover on
आएगा
Ascent
सब कुछ
here,
सबको अभी परेशान
gotta be
करना
hoping that they get this round 12.
Yeah.
It's
क्या
looking
फायदा इतना
dire
बड़ा
without
माइक
it.
लेने
An
का
8-4 half, not unusual on Ascent, but it's usually the other way around, where you get your defenders in the lead.
With how dominant Gen.G have been on the pistol rounds, you know, if it follows the same course, you're
भाई
looking
इनकी
at like
फैंटम ऐसे चलती है हमारी नहीं चलती
10-4.
Yeah, and at that point, it's just curtains.
Yeah.
There's no recovery there. Zelsis coming into this
They-
round with a broken economy, Stinger,
लोग देखो क्या
Guardian,
खेल
but
रहे
they
हैं।
still have those big heavy hitter weapons of the Op and Odin.
It's a weird buy.
साइफर और
mixture.
सोवा बी पे खेल रहे हैं
Second
और
hasn't been able to
Deadlock?
really walk in front of
Deadlock
these
और
smokes.
Cypher?
Keeps getting pushed back and
डेडलॉक और
back.
साइफर साथ
But
में
he
खेल
is-
रहे हैं भाई
Getting the kills.
क्यों
Love the util to clear out mid here. Sassy with the drone. Good timing
डेडलॉक
on
और
it. The
साइफर
question
कौन
is, do they
साथ में
hear
खेलता
that
है
most of Gen.G are already up in through Cat. Straight through the smoke. Disrespect is being shown by them. Sentinels do
इतना
have
डिफेंसिव कॉम्बो
stay main
कुछ ज्यादा
control.
डिफेंसिव नहीं होगा
Shot
डेडलॉक और
missing
साइफर
John now with the barrier mesh. Looking to lock him out of this spot here, but it will be spammed down as a nade in sight, but no smoke for the
नाइस
cross.
शॉट
Only propped down a little bit too late there, so Zekken happy to pick them apart. 10's ADS stop. Can't quite manage it. I mean, it's Caron.
And the stun does nothing in A main.
But Gen.G too
Back
good
and away, Gen.G. slowing it
Attacking
down,
off
getting
देखो
caught
भाई वो
through these
एंट्री
timings.
दे रहा है
There's a
अटैकिंग
stun,
से
you can hear the sensors, texture, removes one of them.
भाई वो डरता नहीं है
So much
भाई
uncertainty, rapid into their heads. They spot the player, texture shoulder just peeking out, and yet
ओ
still
भाई
squares up
अलग
to it.
कॉन्फिडेंस
The
है भाई
challenge is
भाई अलग
met.
कॉन्फिडेंस
Now drop down onto the site.
देखो
Options
देखो पुश कर रहा है भाई वो
thoroughly
ऑफ
opened. Gen.G having to take their timing with it. You can look at the peak timing, but still missing with the shot as well. He
एंड वो
can't quite
मरता
do
भी नहीं
it.
है भाई
Has to
मरता
pull
भी
out a
नहीं है
shorty. Zekken, not a chance.
हम लोग मर जाएंगे
Doesn't
जो भी
stand
रैंक
it.
में खेलेगा ना मर जाएंगे ये नहीं मरेगा
Leaves it to just two. Munchkin is low. Could be an opening. Lakia will fall.
This
Stinger
is
movement in play.
so doable for Sentinels. The health advantage is massive.
Now picking up the upgrade too with a rifle. Cam should be clearing at least a portion of it, but you don't know there's blind spots. Munchkin peeks. They know where he is. 4 seconds until the dart. Spamming away into hell.
ये तो हम भी करते रैंक में, कहीं भी मारो।
That round towards the back, they spot the main player out there.
ये हमारा गेम प्ले है।
Again, it has to be Munchkin as that playmaker finds the one. Peak in timing, off of it, only 5 bullets left, but a tap from Sassy as well. It's all so unlikely for him, and he needs to hit the second. Time
जीत ही नहीं
ticking,
सकता भाई,
forced
जीत ही
to
नहीं
stick
सकता।
it, and time, not enough on Sen's side.
4-8 भाई, खत्म कर दिए। पहला भी Gen.G जीत गई, दूसरा भी जीत जाएगी यार।
Where Gen.G on the attack side look absolutely dominant. Trying to stamp their mark early on Ascent here at
जबकि
Champions.
Sentinels का डिफेंसिव
Home
कॉम्बो है,
territory of
साइफर
Seoul,
और
home
डेडलॉक साथ
territory of
में
Ascent.
खेलना, तो
I think
उनका
showcasing that they
डिफेंसिव में
really
एटलीस्ट
are
8
best in
राउंड
the
उन्हें
world
चाहिए ही
on this
चाहिए
map.
थे।
There
8
wasn't so
राउंड तो
much an
मिनिमम चाहिए
exec in
थे।
that final round as they just walked up with an operator.
अब एक तो बहुत पीछे खेल रहे थे, ऑपरेटर आपके को पुश कर रही है अटैकिंग में। RNG करो भाई, RNG करो।
Towards Gen.G, indomitable so far.
Red Bull gives you wings.
To win the whole thing, it's another question entirely of whether they can even stand up to it.
Sentinels, they're our only team to have beaten Gen.G internationally. And while that might feel like it's a positive on the side of Sen, it also speaks to the fact that Gen.G got cleanly out of Swiss and stomped through Shanghai. That's a scary, scary team on the other side of the stage.
Gen.G जीत गई, खत्म
And they're
मैच
8-4
है।
up, 5 rounds away
खत्म।
from being able to move on in their group.
क्या कॉम्प है इनका?
Let's take a look then.
जेट डैश
Sentinels.
मारेगी, सोवा डार्ट करेगा,
And all
ओमन
that
क्या
have to
कर
be the
लेगा?
playmakers.
टीपी
Gen.G
Potence
also
कुछ भी
going
कर
for a bit
सकता
of
है,
a
but
proactive play.
ये देखो।
Tars crunch on the pistol.
They love running set plays on the defense side,
देख लो,
Gen.G. They will
पूरा मिड कंट्रोल
constantly
उनका
try to
हो
push
गया।
the
ए पे
tempo
किल
up.
जो है, और मीटियोर तो
Happy to
अकेले
play
सबको
retake.
मार ही देता है वैसे भी।
Against this comp,
देखो,
though, I don't think
Meteor
they
melt
should be
कर
too
देगा
happy to
सबको।
play retake. You're going to be running into, you know, Gravnet, trips, stuns.
Zelsis क्या? Nobody can save Zelsis. एक pick.
That's
it.
Zelsis forced to lock down. Watch this flank angle. Just gets
एक।
barely the 2 shots off. Not enough to drop care on.
इन्हें लैके अब push करना चाहिए।
Second taking a cheeky peek. Up through heaven, clears that one out, and now has to be aware that there is that flank occurring.
6-8 हो गया भाई, 6-8, 6-8।
Watchful eyes perched up, probably a high-low as well, and the smoke make it nice and easy. Karen trying to at least split up the site, create that timing and opening for Meteor, potentially there. He's already out though, and the players are straight through and out. The whiff might cost them still. Dart forwards, forces the issue out of texture, and they do clean it up. So Sentinels,
Let's see, let's see. भाई next तो bonus होगा, but bonus पैसे खेलती है Gen.G. Sheriffs are
First of
too
the
good.
series,
Gen.G की
could not have
Sheriffs
come at
are
a better
too good.
time, a more needed time. It probably would have been game over had they lost that one.
yeah.
Beautiful dart as well from Sassy. They immediately dominated those smokes that Karen threw out there, which I think is the correct play. The dart forced somebody in. Sassy deals with them. He's having a good game today, Sassy.
But like Zekin also good.
They're going to need more than this, though. We've seen teams utilizing this Cypher Deadlock
Hey.
composition. You kind of piece by piece take the map. You know, take a main, throw down a Sonic
भाई
sensor.
Meteor पे
Take a
Sheriff है,
little bit
Texter
of
पे
extra
Sheriff है।
space, put your trip into position or something.
No, 1v1 traded.
Fight to be taken here. Nader defeat though. Has to push them back in a way, at least with the rifle spam. Able to take down another of these Gen.G players, but he might have just done enough damage. Still, weapons are going to be
देखो एक
exchanged,
जने ने
making
बाय
sure
नहीं
that
करा
there's
था
no
क्योंकि
waste.
जो भी ट्रेड होगा उसकी गन उठा ली जाएगी, तो इन पे नेक्स्ट राउंड के
Any
लिए बाय
Gen.G
होगा।
pushes on other parts of the map should be able to be identified. You're always going to be running into a trip or a cam or somebody watching the flank.
What is that
सही
timing?
इनके
Pure
Sheriff
instinct
बहुत
from
OP
Karen.
हैं।
He's
Hello.
TP'd in and away. There's a slight gap.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, he's caught.
You're stuck.
ये
Still
तो फंस
Sentinels
चुका है
choose
बीच
not
में।
to commit. I think they've seen enough bodies there. Signs of life from Gen.G. Did
Oh.
they call this pause? They do have 45 seconds.
पर डेडलॉक का यही अनसर्टेनिटी है, you cannot predict तुम्हारी वॉल कहाँ तक है।
You can't let anything else slip though if you are Sentinels. It's a 3v3 in a crossfire setup. Baiting the shots. Caron's there. Meteor alongside it. Do not lose
भाई
this
इनके
one,
Sheriff
Sentinels. Your
बहुत
best
अच्छे
chance
हैं।
in a bloody long time, and you got to clean it up.
Okay, they whipped.
Lakia left alone. 20 seconds. Still, they don't know where this guy is, but the door's going to be closing. Nobody stepping past it. Just spots the feet. Breaking the door, trying to take the fight. It's a little bit uncertain, man. I mean, okay, they do get the anti-eco, but at the cost of losing 3 of their players, 3 of their guns is not going to be a healthy bonus.
I mean, you saw it on the faces there of Zelsis and Sassy. They're both wiping their brow, literally. I know it's hot in here. Golden Boy talked about it before. It is warm in Korea right now. But that one's more of a sign of relief than a sign of the heat. Sen closed the gap to 2, but the bonus is not going to look pretty. They only kept the Phantom, Guardian. They got a Stinger to work with here. It's not much. A bit of damage. Maybe even just building up to one of these ults like the Annihilation for John so that he could maybe work a pick in round 16. These are the kind of things that would be a success in the round, I think, for Sen.
Flash peek. Smoke though from... He's pushed up in front of Karen's face. Not able to get value, just being held by the Sentinels players. They don't have particularly spread out default, but they do have somebody utility cam and a trip to hold deep B push.
Yeah, we're seeing Sentinels take A main, but they're not actually leaving utility there. Normally with this composition, I would expect to see Sonic Sensor be put down there, or some kind of, you know, trip, or leave a player deposit somebody into A main.
Yeah.
Now they're going back in though. Sassy looking to try to drone and disguise the fact.
Yeah, Sentinels trying to make this one feel like it could potentially be that B split.
Yeah, that's a weird one, because they faked the B split as they were droning A.
Right, so Gen.G are kind of aware of this one. Munchkin, it's an off angle, and he's got to deliver. Will do with the first. Occasion is face. Preemptive spam will lay claim.
भाई हमारा Phantom नहीं चलती ऐसे. खत्म कर दी भाई. Tense moment.
Not enough. Can't overcome it.
That Champions Trophy blinks into and out of existence, floating, tinting, taunting the players. Rifles back online though for Sen. An opportunity for them to showcase what they've been working on. We haven't seen them play too much of this map.
No.
But we've seen the Cypher Deadlock. We know that it's got at least some good fundamentals to work on. Gonna need to see Zelsis trading out stuff like this though.
Yeah, there's gonna be an early fight occurring into this next round. Tiles beat out by Texture.
The Cypher should be able to take a little more aggro B main control as well. Trip broken, Zelsis not ready for that one. Not looking to use his cam to take super aggro B main either. It is a bit more of a passive approach to Sen than we've seen from other teams running this comp. Tentative.
Is my audio still clear and working?
Too much though. Shock dart.
और कुछ issue हो गया?
To do damage enough to break the alarm bot.
That's a very weak alarm bot.
Yeah.
हाँ, it's clear now. It's clear. That's good.
Can't see the health bar, but I'm sure it'll be minuscule.
Be crazy if the alarm bot clutched now. 1 HP.
A bit of spam though. It's going to be exchanged now here. Turret at least broken. Meteor, he is not shy, is he? This guy is happy to push back up, make it really difficult to take any B main control. Already breaking that cam, backing away. 38 seconds.
They got that deep wall down mid, but they didn't break the alarm bot.
What
so
is the call?
They've got to go into a B split.
There's plenty of players ready to meet them. Gen.G tucked up to crossfire setup. Logs to the corner. Lakia has to do a lot here. It's running and gunning to trade it up, but they weren't expecting, and again
भाई
Meteor
बहुत अच्छी
delivers.
Phantom चलाते हैं. Too good. The Phantoms are too good.
And it might just be a round-winning moment. Indeed,
Too
it
good.
is a 3-piece to finish it. 10-6 Gen.G. Looking on pace now to just take this map away.
Yeah, that's going to knock the economy for Sentinels.
AC नहीं चल रहा है and it's hot in India.
I love that smoke.
It's very
Everybody's
hot.
throwing that same smoke now. Learn it for your ranked games as well. The
It's humid also. It's raining, so it's humid.
Helps out your players to defend against the B split. Perfect from Karen, and it sets up this crossfire so beautifully. And Lucky is tucked into a corner. The Sentinels players, as they come out, they're checking stairs, wondering if someone's peeking from there. Because Meteor, he loves to play that spot. Yeah. Then they check switch, because you never know, Texture could be playing in that kind of position. There's just so many ways that Gen.G could be threatening you on defense. It's difficult to account for them all. And even if you did know that that crossfire setup was there, good luck dealing with it.
Like the stream, boys.
Like I said, that could have been the death blow, and Sentinels are going to take a tactical timeout.
Subscribe if you want to see more, if you want to play together. साथ में खेलना है तो subscribe करो.
On a defense. It's either, you know, a bit of a trap play setup or maybe just a set play at the beginning of rounds that they will throw out. But even when they're just making sure that they can play it slow, you know, you saw in that last round, turret gets broken, Meteor immediately vacuums up the space.
Yeah.
Disrespects B main, makes sure that Sentinels can't take it with a cam, can't hold it easily.
And not only does that slow Sentinels down, but it also allows Gen.G much better information. We talk all the time about Munchkin making these amazing reads on defense. Part of it's because his players are willing to contest util. And if you peek back into B main and you see 5 players on the other side and Meteor bounces, well, now that's really good info. But if Meteor's able to re-clear B main, he knows that a hit is not coming straight back through.
Yeah.
It just helps every aspect of their game. That constant war of attrition that Gen.G force you to fight.
Half buys the Sentinels. Be rare to see a return on those investments. Caron still locks it up here. That spam being offloaded. Texture does manage to at least get 2, but it's even out and it has handed guns over.
Yeah, that's a major win for Sentinels.
Munchkin, there's a drone in his face. It's not being watched for into the smoke. The awareness is off the charts. He doesn't go for the easy kill, but now he knows the TenZ is lurking. Not long for the world. But again, another high game IQ moment from Munchkin there. He hears the drone. He knows that Sassy is going to be occupied in that moment. Instead, takes the peek to the player with the gun.
Yeah, that's so good. And also getting the read that that player is going to be on the left.
Yeah.
He knows that there's a rifle down in that kind of situation, predicts the timing. I mean, timing's the drone as well, beautifully. And a situation that was looking like a potential win condition for Sentinels, ripped out of their hands so quickly. They're now going to have to find a different avenue of success. Sassy with the Odin ready to counter spam. But Texture, he hasn't been walking up B main with the op yet. This has been Meteor's domain. Are they going to expect him to be here?
Deep shot darts, not enough to clear this trip here. Sassy. It's a drone for a drone. Texture is hiding from it. Again, sowing misinformation. Shot missed though, Hunter's Fury. This feels like it's quite a committed push. And damage done, even a kill for Sassy, maybe enough to pave the way. It calls for that reinforcement. Caron instantly TPs.
Very good ult from Sassy. Very good read to now go for an A split.
They've pulled these players apart, but Munchkin again could be that thorn in their side. Once more, weapon glowing. This guy is on fire. GravNet gets that confirmation potentially there. Flood defending in, right through the back. Annihilation and clearing in and through. Sentinels do have the necessary plays. You don't want to be handing care on too many more though. A doubled up holding this one, side by side. Bit of spam hailing down the lead, so still in it, at least for now, Sentinels.
Great call from John. As soon as you hear that ult being used, I think it's very likely they're sticking the teleport into back B. He decides to send things on an A split, anticipating that A is weaker. And Munchkin's already realized what's happening and sent a couple players over there, but SEN grouped up, Decisive, love to see it. And Sassy continues to have one of the best games that I've seen from him in a long time.
Oh yeah.
He was top of the scoreboard for a hot minute there on Haven, and now he's back up, at least on the Sentinel side, with 13 kills. Having a great day.
Doesn't get much easier though. This time Texture going walkabout up through mid. Angle's being held for him. He's hoping that somebody will just wade right into it. Dash is fading. This is hyper committed.
This is the kind of thing that Zekken just couldn't do.
Zekken's holding to pixel angle. Oh, but no! Just missed it.
My shot miss
The
ho gaya.
cross up and Texture
हाँ भाई, गौर भाई, can
takes
you
it
hear me?
away. Caron, heavy committed now into
अब बताओ,
mid. He needs to be
can you hear
defended
me now?
He needs some help to get out of here. That's what the drone is for. Up and over.
Let me
Clears the
check now.
path.
Let me check
When Lakia
myself.
and Karen are willing to be that aggressive,
And
it
now-
allows
Yeah, अब आ
Texture
रही
to
है
do
ना?
this.
This is not potentially getting
भाई
cleared
खत्म
off.
कर दिया
Bang,
भाई,
not
अब तक तो
traded.
खत्म कर दिया.
But again, reinforcements are there out through the
आ
back of
गई
the
ना, आ
side.
गई.
That's
अब यार
Texture
कुछ
committed.
कुछ ना कुछ माइक का इशू है भाई.
He
अब
dominates
I don't
the
know क्या
smoke.
इशू है.
He will not be stopped. And a paranoia puts TenZ in his place.
खत्म कर दिया भाई,
The
खत्म.
recon in that position is supposed to stop Karen from doing that. Your recon, he's caught out in the open, has to break it, gives away his position, forced to swing into the smoke. He's checkmated. He's swinging into a smoke that two of the people are already in. He can't get away
But
with it.
Texture बहुत confident है.
Opened up nicely with Gen.G's aggression, which, like I said, their comp benefits them. Not something that Sentinels could ever really do, support Zekken in that kind of way on their defense half.
Gen.G enjoy
But
to play.
monster performance from Karen, up to 20 kills.
नई वाली Sentinel like Champions launch हो गई ना? I guess we can buy it soon.
One more round is needed here for Gen.G for their opening match of champs. They've not slowed down a beat. Up and over. Bloodstorm in the hands. Texture is releasing.
ये kill नहीं आने चाहिए थे. They could have taken him. हाँ नहीं Phantom आ गई है गौर भाई. शायद lobby में आ गई या फिर after this आ जाएगी.
Stew and simmer.
Knives back out though for Zekken.
Munchkin will fade away. Now Zalba back to the wall. Texture reveals his position. 3 left available to work with, blinded up Meteor. He spots it, betrayed by the barrel. A 2-0 finish. Gen.G
best match.
looking large and in charge, not slowing down from prior performances. They are aiming and gunning for that trophy.
Revenge for the grand finals of Masters Madrid. Both of these teams were tied at 4 maps apiece heading into the match today.
Hello.
Gen.G have taken the lead both in terms of head-to-head series and in the maps. I think they outclassed Sentinels today. They showcased that divergence of the trajectories for both of these teams. There's a reason that Sentinels came in here based on their championship points.
Honestly, I really want another ace, but I don't even remember the last time I had an ace, and I told him it was April, and he said, you know, it's been such a long time, and you know, whatever it takes, whatever it takes for my team to win, I will do, but I would like another ace. Maybe I'll get it in the next match or in the upcoming matches, but
just
said,
like Gaurav, तुम मेरा ace
apologize
चुराते
to
हो.
him for stealing his opportunity to get that ace. It's been a while, but thank you, Texture, and congratulations once again. Best of luck. 승리 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, everybody give it up for Texture once more. 박수 부탁드립니다.
दूसरा मैच कितनी देर में? We need to find it out. We need to find out. अब है टीम Heretics versus FPX. Okay, टीम Heretics ऐसे ही जीत जाएगी. FPX is good team, but इतनी भी अच्छी नहीं. China से Secret Lab. इसकी जगह रखेंगे ये. इसको चेंज करेंगे. भाई 2 मिनट में ना 2 मिनट वी कैन वेट 2 मिनट से अगर 20 मिनट होता नहीं होता गौर भाई डिस्कॉर्ड पे आओगे साथ में देखेंगे गौर भाई हो चैट पे किसी और को साथ में आना है तो यू गाइस कैन join our discord अभी तो मैं नाम चेंज कर दूंगा. For now you can join it here only. Let me paste in the chat. That's my personal one. Isn't it? मैं नाइट बोर्ड ऐड कर रहा है. कुछ चेक करेगा नाइट बोर्ड काम कर रहा है. नहीं कर रहा है.
Welcome back to day one of Champions Seoul and our second match in the group of death. It's China's FPX versus EMEA's Team Heretics. Of course, I'm Golden Boy, currently yelling at you right now. On the desk with Mimi and Paperthin. As always, we're going to break everything down and talk about what we saw. But boy, oh boy,
that
Gen.G.
stream on the screen.
Huh?
The stream
Didn't
that
you
was
go
on
there?
the screen. I went
Oh,
there.
it's so
really
sick.
nice. It used to be a highway until 2003.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now it's a stream again. It's awesome.
We got to do some book reading on,
Yeah,
on
it's
the
a great
stream.
park. I read a book for an hour there.
Yeah.
A very popular date
recommend.
spot. Very popular date
Oh,
spot.
really?
Yep.
Oh,
That makes
that's cool.
sense.
Yeah.
It's lovely for a stroll.
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous.
But we
Yeah.
have more important things to
That's
talk
true.
about.
But that being said, though, I want to be very clear here. This city is freaking awesome, okay? And Seoul
Right.
is genuinely one of the
लाइट
greatest
नहीं है
cities in
काफी
the
देर
world.
से
Unbelievable
और अगर
place.
स्ट्रीम
But
बंद हो
let's go
जाए तो
ahead,
not
though,
my fault.
and talk about
मेरा
another city
UPS
that
जा
we
चुका
were
है.
in this year, Madrid, because we're about to see another rematch, except this time it's going to be a Shanghai rematch.
Third
And I
city
totally
there.
messed that one up. So we got
The
three
issue
cities
is
on this one.
laptop तो चल जाएगा.
Homies all over the place.
Shanghai,
Wi-Fi नहीं चलेगा.
another
Wi-Fi
great
पे
city,
UPS नहीं है.
and this match was, it was great to watch, but this was a heartbreaker for FPX because this was the event where FPX was the best we've ever seen them. People had high expectations for
अच्छा,
this
इसमें किसको
team
support कर रहे
after
हो?
watching their first game where they beat
Team
Foot,
Heretics
and then they have
FPX.
two
And
super
FPX
close
बहुत अजीब
losses.
खेलती है.
And in this one, it was
भाई
17 to
हॉर्नी
15.
पर
So many
Gen.G
overtimes
जीत
on
गई
that
2-0.
last one for them to be eliminated by this Team Heretics squad who went on to the finals.
Yeah, and they do really interesting stuff. They use a lot of controllers compared to a lot of other teams. Like, it's not
but ये FPX खेलती है क्लोव एज डुअलिस्ट, ओके, एंड 4 क्लोव एंड 4 इनिशिएटर इन आइस बॉक्स. तो अजीब कॉम्बो होता है इनका.
utility
अच्छा होता है,
unnecessarily.
बट
Don't
मजा
give them
आएगा.
any information
Berlin usually
unnecessarily.
clove खेलता
So
है
that does
इनका.
kind of bite them in the butt in the long run.
If your structure can hold up to the insane individuals and the unique ideas, then you can beat this team. But for me, they are the litmus test of how good your structure actually is.
Yeah.
Because they're so insanely disruptive. But what's crazy is that after that kind of, I want to say run, but it wasn't really a run in actuality, they went back to Shanghai for VCT CN instead of Masters, and it was a huge
तो इस लाइक एंड
dip.
सब्सक्राइब करके
They
जाना.
went 2 for 6 in
Yeah.
the group stage, and it looked rough. They were losing to teams you would never expect them to lose to. The team honestly looked kind of boomed. They looked so different than the confident, creative team we saw in Shanghai. But they did recover at the right time.
Yeah, they got to the finals, right? They played EDG in a best of 5. They lost it in 5 maps. They really started to kind of find their groove again, find their form. Abyss, like we just saw on the screen there, was a really good map for them. Life on that Yoru is really challenging to deal with because he's really creative with where he puts those TPs. Like sometimes, yeah, they'll go deep and he'll try to come behind you, things like that, but he'll also put them short just to like cross a 50-50 on you when he's in a post plan or something like that.
Yeah,
so he's really difficult to keep track of.
Yeah, a lot of really unique ideas that we continuously see from FPX. But to go back to something that Mimi was talking about real fast and how this team really just struggled going into stage 2.
Yeah.
Very shocking considering how
Comment
they
करो
started
भाई,
this
team-
season.
Yeah,
Who
look at
guys
the
are
contrast
supporting?
to stage 1. They were undefeated.
TH
The only series they
or
lost in
Gen.G?
stage 1 of
नहीं,
VCT
Gen.G तो
CN
TH or
was the
FPX.
finals to EDG. Which is so different from what we saw now. But I think the biggest question is, in this
Guys,
group,
comment down. Let
which
me
is
know
so
who-
difficult
whom
with
you guys
all
are
3
supporting.
of the Masters finalists, even if they hit that Madrid form, or excuse me, that Shanghai form, is it enough? Because this is a really tough place to get out of.
Yeah, it's so difficult because you're
Oh my
going
God,
into the
it's
shark
chalega.
pit once,
Let
and
me
then
turn
you
on
go
the
to the
light.
shark pit
Just a
again, and then
second,
you
guys.
potentially go into it again. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem to get any better than what you can expect there for FPX. But there are some things that they can lean on here, right? I mean, I think, you know, it goes without saying, FPX still a great team, as we talked about, great aimers, right? But they can also catch your opponent off guard with some uniqueness on Abyss, especially, right? New map coming into the pool, big opportunity here for the Chinese team to really catch their opponents in an uncomfortable position and maybe profit off of it.
Yeah, it has not been a ban that the Heretics have prioritized since Abyss came into the map pool. They've been going for like Ascent or Lotus kind of as those main bans that they want to go for. So I expect this map to be open, and I expect FPX to pick it. This is a great example right here of some of these moments where life is just an absolute nightmare, either on the retake or on the post plant. He's so good in so many different situations, and the way that they set up, and then they TP across, right? Like they use a smoke to obscure these extra angles. They're so creative.
Guys, let me know who will win.
Heat of the moment situations. We saw this in Shanghai too.
Hey, and this is something that we were talking about at the start of the day, right? Who has that good read on Abyss? And now, don't get me wrong, these aren't necessarily reads. These are like just really smart and intelligent plays, but that's something you could build upon, right?
Absolutely, and I do really like their comp on Abyss. I think that the ideas they have around the Yoru are really creative. A lot of teams will pick into the Yoru as kind of a solo duelist nowadays because it fills the dive slot and also the flash slot, so it gives you a lot of flexibility. But I think what really shines for them isn't necessarily like the attack side dive plays. It's how they play the defense, how they're using the Yoru TPs to have fast rotates and reinforce these anchors, and how good their fast retakes are with the combination of the Yoru flashes, the Fade utility. It's honestly really well put together, and that's the definition of FPX. Creative comps executed really well.
Yeah, I really hope we get to see Abyss today. It will be super exciting, to say the least. But for now, though, let's send it back over to Mika Fabs, who caught up with Life for a quick word.
Hey, Live! Oh, you look so cool today. So FPX is in what many consider the group of death. So I'm wondering, do you think FPX are underdogs, and how does FPX compare to the rest of the teams? We have Luna here to help with some translation.
那很多人都会觉得你们现在所在的小组是一个死亡之组，那你觉得你们是一匹黑马吗？你相比于其他的队伍会怎么样来评价和描述你们自己呢？
其实我希望其他战队也这样看我们，这样会对我们掉以轻心，我们会比我们上一次更强的姿态迎接这一次。
आवाज आ रही है ना आ रही है ना आ रही है ना कुछ भी लाते हैं बंद हो जाती है आवाज।
If other teams like consider us as the underdogs, maybe we can do something unpredictable, then we can perform better. Maybe TH, watch out.
Oh, I like that. Good luck to you guys.
All right, strong words there from Life, but let's highlight what this guy is capable of, because, I mean, when he gets those moments to pop off, it is very fun to watch.
No, he's mechanically gifted. He can really take over rounds, win rounds that he has no business winning. He's such a talented player. Now, he does get a little bit off kilter at times. When I go through and watch the FPX VODs, like as good as he can be, he can also kind of leave you scratching your head.
Highs, low lows.
Exactly.
So this team style takes a lot of risks. I think that even compared to some of the other CN teams, they're very willing to overpeak, to go for individual fights. And I think one of the biggest reasons for their stage 2 slump regionally was that the confidence was waning. They weren't actually getting success through a lot of those risky plays, and I think that then snowballs. Your confidence drops, you play a little differently, you take risks to try and be a hero. It doesn't work out. But if they can come in and show what they did in playoffs, with the confidence, with the risk-taking, and find that success, that's, I think, the kind of condition for FPX to show the form that they had at Masters Shanghai.
Yeah, you always like to see a team that try to carve out their own identity in their own unique way, rather than just conform, right? And that is
they're not like the other girls.
God dang it, Mimi.
They aren't.
You're true. You know what?
Yeah.
Base. Of course, Team Heretics on the other side. This is a squad that going into Shanghai, we were a little worried about. They had lost one of their big key players here in MiniBoo. Patatek was coming back in, obviously the most versatile 6-man in the world. But this time around in Shanghai, the success was flowing. I mean, they were doing everything that they possibly could. They finished third in EMEA. They had such an amazing run in Shanghai. This team is dynamic, and now they have their whole roster here, Paper Thin. Could it be the difference?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not super convinced. It felt like they were a little bit rocky during stage 2.
Yeah.
It felt like kind of like they came off of that high of Shanghai. They couldn't quite replicate the exact level of success, because it felt like at Shanghai, it just, as they went, they just got stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the tournament. They started streaking
They're like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, like literally, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they just kept streaking these crazy rounds together. Woot was dominating on the duelist. All these things were looking amazing, and I'm like, this team is like maybe going to win EMEA. We're going to be coming into, you know, potentially champions, thinking about, is it going to be another rematch in the finals of Heretics versus Gen.G? But they haven't quite looked the same. It just like they haven't found that same form. MiniBoo coming back on the Neon hasn't seemingly had the same amount of impact, I feel.
To me, I feel like a lot of it can honestly be kind of put up to the same burnout that I think to some extent we saw from FPX, where you're coming back after showing so much and having to reintegrate a player into your roster without a lot of prep time and opportunity. I think that they lost a lot of games to some of the other squads in EMEA, even ending up losing twice to Vitality to go out. But I don't know how much that actually makes me think they're going to do poorly at this event. I think that with MiniBoo back, the ceiling is higher. The way they build around his Neon is excellent, and I think we did see a lot of good, especially in the game planning and like the micro plays they're known for in EMEA. The question is, have they reset from that burnout, and are they ready to show their best form here in Seoul?
Well, there was something, it was an interview I believe I saw with Gen.G where he was talking about, like, in Shanghai when they showed up, they were like, look, we don't know what's going to happen, so let's just go out there and have fun. And that's what they did. They had fun. I mean, Woot was having a whale of a time. But, you know, I think it gets now to this point where you're here with your full roster, right? Like, those events are fine, right? Because, hey, you didn't have your full roster. You got something to lean back on. But now this is where I'm like, all right, if Heretics doesn't come out the gate swinging, right, you got to wonder, can they hang at the upper echelons in this tournament? I know they can, but it's a question of whether or not that slump has followed them all the way here to Seoul, you know, which could be devastating.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. You have this success in Shanghai, and all of a sudden, all eyes are on you. Yeah. You're like maybe going to be...
You're like the face of the region.
Exactly. With Fnatic, you could be the banner carriers of EMEA. You could be this resurgence of this region to come back even stronger, potentially. So the problem became, right, that you had Woot performing out of his mind on the duelist role. You want to keep that guy in somewhere, put him on the initiator. He's still doing very, very well for the most part, other than like one bad game he had against somebody, I can't remember who, he had like -17. But other than that, he's been fine. And so like, the pressure can get to you. And when you're playing loose, when you're playing fun, this is something that a lot of teams have been talking to me behind the scenes for this tournament, is they're coming in with the, let's have fun, let's be loose, let's play with, you know, a little bit of swagger on there, but no pressure is what they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, ideally that's what you'd want in this situation. It's high pressured, but of course, you know, it's a matter of whether or not you're going to be able to put up in those moments where it counts.
The best teams right now are the ones who have managed to beat the burnout and stay successful, and I think Gen.G is the only team who has had that consistency. We saw it just then with the Sentinels, who has struggled after the Madrid win. The question is, will Shanghai be the high for Team Heretics, or can they have a resurgence and show that form again here in Seoul?
Yeah, and of course, you know, for the Heretics, this is going to be a trying test for them as they take the stage against an FPX team that can very well throw anything against the wall, and it could very well work. And of course, the vibes have not really been the same over on the Heretics cap. Let's actually go ahead and check out this post-match interview that we did with MiniBoo earlier.
Before we came to this interview, you said you were a little disappointed. What's going on?
Like in my mind, it's like my typical usual stream game on Ranked. I was fucking tilted. I don't know, I couldn't kill anyone. My decisions were worst in my life. I was cold, I was hot, I was not enough. Okay, I'm chilling. Okay.
Of course, you know, MiniBoo wasn't able to make it to Shanghai, but he is back on this roster, you know, with an opportunity here to hoist a trophy over his head. talented
टीम
player
हेरिटिक्स से
through
बिना
and
उसके
through.
बहुत अच्छा
But
खेला,
of
so I
course,
don't
you
know
know,
उसको किसकी जगह फिट
this is a
करेंगे.
big opportunity
Boot उनका
for him. It
बेस्ट
is the
प्लेयर
first
था
time
और
we've been
बूट को
able to really
बिठाएंगे
get to see
क्योंकि
him
बूट
take
आया
the
था
stage like
सब्स्टिट्यूट.
Team Heretics
And
with and
Boot-
without MiniBoo, I think, are very distinctly different teams. When they're playing with him, I think he is definitely the player that defines this roster. They play more Neon comps than any other team, and it's not even close. And that's
correct.
because of this guy. And when you watch them play, we've always known them. For the set plays, the little ideas in the mid-round for re-clearing space, those little coordinated pieces. That is kind of, the identity of that is around MiniBoo. When you watch him play on this Neon, defensive side, they're going to have re-clears set up all over the map with his utility. They're going to have him being super mobile to always be in the right place to set him up for that success. I think he gets more value out of his stun than any other Neon player I've ever watched, and that is so hard now that there is only one of those relay bolts.
And I mean, two things strike me with MiniBoo. One, I agree with you fully. He's the best Neon in the world right now. I don't think there's much question about that. It's that one of the things that can give Neon some trouble is you get too far ahead of your squad, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're so fast, you're just miles ahead.
Just sliding in the gunfire.
Yeah, and then the other team just throws a smoke or a molly right behind you, and all of a sudden you're cut off from the rest of your team, right? But he's good enough in those moments that he can take over. We're just seeing it in some of these highlights where he's getting these double kills, these triple kills on his own when he's just ahead of the rest of his squad.
Yeah.
However, Heretics does such a good job being right there with him, right behind him. Like, I think back to like when they played Haven with the ISO, like they worked so well in tandem together with that. They're able to come together at the right times, at the right angles. So that's what's so impressive about it, because a lot of teams that try Neon can't keep up with their Neon, and it just makes the pick somewhat, it has way less value.
They're playing Neon, the agent, on all but 2 maps, which is absolutely crazy when you compare that to the rest of the field.
Well, we literally didn't see Neon the first game of the day.
Oh, yeah, Gen.G doesn't play Neon.
People thought Neon was going to define the meta, and she's viable on most of the maps in the pool, but most teams haven't decided to go for it, and Team Heretics is really committed into this read.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's safe to say though that we are going to get a ton of Neon today from MiniBoo, and from these compositions that are going to be supporting it, correct?
I think the interesting contrast here is that MiniBoo, when you watch him play, he is a star. He has those crazy moments, he has the pop-off, but I think what defines him is how he plays in the system, how he's using his utility, how on their attacking side they're using him to scale and take different space in the map. Compared to Life, who is a guy who is given so much agency to go off on his own and take risks and make his own plays. You're not going to see MiniBoo doing that in the same way. The question is, though, for a bit of a wounded Heretics, can their structure hold up to an FPX that is so disruptive, that can boom you if things start going wrong?
Yeah, and I guess what I'm wondering is, like, you know, the pitfalls on each side, right? You had a great pickup there when, you know, talking about how FPX likes to play very unorthodox manner. But how does Heretics try and, well, take advantage of the fact that FPX likes to be a little bit too unorthodox and make too many risky plays?
No, I mean, I think you have to stick to what's worked. You have to stick to these fundamentals where you're working with the Neon, where you're playing off of that, you're able to combo the utility well. That's going to give FPX problems with their more individualistic playstyle.
All right, folks, well, our teams are ready to go. So let's go ahead and bring them down to the stage and get the show on the road.
कोई Valorant वगैरह में किसी का दोस्त हो? हो रहा है. तो कैसा लगता है वहाँ पे when you are standing there and so many lights around you? Now you have to play in pressure, okay?
It's a Shanghai rematch. It's rematch day at Champions, and you love to see it. Heretics versus FPX, and FPX, an opportunity here to right a wrong that happened for them in Shanghai. But for Heretics, they have their full lineup, they're at full power, and it's time to see what they can bring to the table. And oh boy, Abyss is our first map to kick things off. FPX coming in hot.
We already talked about it. They're really good on this map. They've been playing it a lot
like to play
at
Abyss?
home in the CN region.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. समझ ही नहीं आता क्या करना है.
Quite well. Their defensive side especially has always looked really good. But this is a map that we have seen from Heretics. They're playing a Gecko Breach comp that I actually thought looked pretty good, but we have only seen it once from now.
Yeah, whether or not they bust that out again will be the question. Curious to see what MiniBoo could do on Abyss as well here. That'll be pretty fun.
I'm really excited about this
बाहर कौन
matchup.
बैठ रहा
I
है?
think both teams bring something pretty unique here. The Astra is one of the things I really look at with Heretics that a lot of teams aren't really leaning into on this map. The ability to control some of those tight angles and the post plants and things like that.
Fish is also
drag
good.
people pretty far away, you know, from the angles that they need to hold. Stuff like that is really important on this map because there's a lot of cubbies that you can hide in, and there's a lot of smokes that you can utilize with the Astra as well. Really, really cool stuff. But on the other side, I mean, I think my eyes are going to be on Life's Yoru. That has been really impactful, really devastating to the opponents that they've faced on Abyss so far. They're 2-0 on Abyss. They beat Trace Esports. They beat EDG on it. This is definitely also kind of a must-win for FPX, it feels like. This has been their map. This is their map pick. You know it's going to be really tight no matter what against Heretics.
So we're seeing a change up here from Team Heretics. Before they were playing the Breach Gecko. Now they're switching over to a Jet Sova composition. We don't see a lot of Jet from MiniBoo. But in both of these first two maps,
Come on,
he's
guys.
probably not going to be playing that Neon
3000 सब hit करने हैं.
whatsoever. So it's a different
Subscribe
role for him
करके
to
जाना
bust
जो
out.
भी है.
Some of the strengths
We'll
of
be
this
doing
Sova,
more live streams.
obviously the
अगर
cross-map
आपको साथ में करनी हो तो you
information,
can
how
send
set
me
up on the
request
darts.
anywhere.
And as we've seen
You
from
can drop
teams
a comment on any
Thieves
video,
and even from
any
Team
shorts.
Heretics when they play
I
their
don't
bind
upload
with
much
the Big
videos,
Gecko,
but yeah,
how
shorts
powerful
always.
that double initiator
So
information can be
साथ
when
में
you're
खेलना
combining
हो,
those tools
साथ में
together.
बच्चों दी करनी हो.
Curious to see how they work
Tips and tricks
around
चाहिए
this
हो
here,
until
right?
diamond.
Of course,
इसके ऊपर मैं
I fully expect Rian's and
नहीं
Boom
बोल
to
सकता.
really synergize quite beautifully to be able to maximize on the utility and just the composition as a whole. And it's time to see really what FPX are going to bring to the table here on Abyss. It's going to be awesome. Everyone is locked in, so let's go ahead and send it down to your casters, professional yappers, two of my favorite people, Mitch and Tom, baby.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy, and our wonderful analyst desk.
I went to Waffle University. It's a place down the road.
I saw that the other day. Yeah, you're back where you went to uni. It's good to see. Tom, this is going to be one hell of a matchup. We've heard it from the desk. FPX, they play an interesting style. You've been talking my ear off about them for the last couple weeks.
I love
and Heretics, listen, we know these guys. One of the main criticisms we had, one of the main issues they had was time. They were burnt out. Now they've had their rest, their time to reset, and big challenge for FPX taking them down.
Yeah, they've also switched things up a little bit in terms of their composition. MiniBoo going to be over to the Jet and bringing in the Sova. I'm interested to see because they were setting up around the breach quite a bit, but now that's gone. It's definitely going to be a different look. The look that's there for the side of FPX is what I'm always excited for. I think Berlin has to be a highlight. He is a nutcase. He's going to try weird stuff that you haven't seen before, unless you've been watching the Chinese region, in which case maybe you have. For now, though, a very aggressive defensive push all the way through A, looking to try and catch them on the flank, but I believe Life has spotted it.
He did. He was ready for that. No, only peeked up the top, gave the info to Lysaurus. Good for one. The Sheriff, though, running low on ammo. Flash comes through. He won't dodge it down. They're right on top of him. Easy trade for Heretics, but the site is claimed. FPX knew the ground they'd given up. Life up top looks to take it all the way onto Boo. And now they've got a foothold, an aggressive one that Heretics will have to fight for. And they win their first duel.
They're still up there, though. They might not expect the second, but they're playing as a unit, moving as a pack. Leaving Berlin, who hasn't actually been spotted in the corner, but Wu lands the shot anyway. Leaving Autumn to try and hold on. Utility expended, needs to land the shots first, doesn't go his way, and well, he's not going to get a second chance. Pistol goes the way of Heretics.
Yeah, you really see them sticking as a blob, whether it's the A-main push to start this off on the defensive side, they get up, they get the information, and then there's no splitting, there's no sending a player out to die by themselves. Instead, just using the numbers to their advantage in the pistol. It works out, and the few little extra plays that FPX tried, they don't manage anything. So 1-0 we start, rifles coming through, and I'm excited by what I'm seeing. There's still 15 seconds left. They could easily decide to sell some of these weapons, but
post plant खेलना बड़ा अजीब सा लगता है इस मैप में.
right. Is an outlaw
Plant हो जाता है उसके बाद क्या करें समझ में नहीं आता.
I'm excited to see what he can do. No shields on the other side, so this could be a big farming round for him. Bring him closer to that ultimate, but he's only got one orb on the board, so it'll be a while before it comes to fruition.
That's one of the most fun things about this map is what you can do with the Bladestorm. Like you can literally jump off the map and go for kills. Yeah. That's some of the crazy stuff we've seen. I think Smoggy was doing that over on EDG. For now, though, MiniBoo's just looking for those early fights. It seems more spread from the attack side. Maybe an attempt to just collect some orbs, potentially look for a plant. You can't really have too many expectations from a round like this, and they're playing it very safe. But I do think that
Guys, जो पहला राउंड जीता उसे मैच जीता वो डिक्लेयर करके बंद कर देंगे.
Part of their
हम
game
आगे
plan,
देखेंगे
but also it just allows Life to go crazy, and that's something that genuinely he's one of the most terrifying duelists in the whole tournament because he is, as said, just a little bit insane.
I wonder if we'll see this continue. Much more passive hold over B. It was the same in the pistol for Boo, but his teammates were pushing A that time.
Melt होने
Now,
वाला है भाई,
well, he has actually shifted into a
वाला है.
slightly more aggressive position. It could be in trouble. Smoke used, though, to back out, concede the space, and with that, FPX will find themselves a plant. Again, the idea for Heretics isn't to stop them in their tracks, it's to wait and retake it as a unit. Already finding one with the Outlaw. The players on backside might have a chance with the Classics catching them off guard. Decent damage to Gen.G.
How much they can get in terms of the kills, though. Not really playing alongside each other. A little bit further back for Autumn, and it makes this training quite a bit easier. One kill at least. Make things that a little bit more costly, but you can see Rian's only having a pistol. It's not really going to force any rebuys for the next round, other than the player who was already going to purchase anyway.
I mean, there was a decent amount of damage done, but yeah, just too spread across the players. So no kills converted, bar that one. No weapons dropped.
तुम्हारे साथ ऐसा होता है क्या? इस मैप पे अपना कोई टीम फ्लैश है, कोई भी फ्लैश आ जाए, लगता है कि अभी मैप से गिर जाएंगे. Especially A side पर.
Definitely in fighting form. The Bulldogs sort of backed up by the fact that you've got an Outlaw. You could be facing 10 HP, or just tag him once and let MiniBoo do the cleanup. For FPX, rifles come out, and dimensional drift for life.
That's a big one.
That's going to get them into a site.
Yeah, and you can already see, not messing about. All of the players are up over on the left side of the map, getting ready, pinging over onto the B site. It does seem, though, that Heretics have a decent idea. A very passive hold. Gen.G sitting back. Now, he should be able to clear at least some of the trips. Make sure that they're not going to be able to hold on to that ground. Although saying that, it seems like they're both still standing.
Yeah, there was a clear idea from Heretics to change their setup. Boo goes to the A site this round, traps are here to try to catch these players as they make their way in or out of the site, but now the traps are down. Gen.G has been blitzed on, and with this FPX, able to fall back, playing a lot of players in main. They've lost their mid control, but that's not that big of a stress this late in the round. Main thing is keeping life on the site and having the support to cover him as they cross. Even the TP used to get out of there, and now standard post plants on a long range angle down an alleyway. Already finding MiniBoo, and even if they smoke this one off, it's going to be hard to get this stuck all the way with a big swing. Gravwell keeps them back a moment, buys them time, but not quite enough.
Yeah, it definitely came close. Aya tagged life as well, so there was potential for them to try and bring that back, but the Gravwell couldn't quite hold them long enough, unfortunately, for the side of Heretics.
I like the idea.
Yeah, definitely not a bad idea, and you can see that, again, I think this was a map that FPX are using against a lot of teams because they're not going to be massively well prepped.
Put a poll, okay. This match में कौन किसको support कर रहा है?
They're playing this map because they're comfortable enough on it, at least, even if they haven't had a massive break.
Gen.G तो easily जीत गए. Let's see.
Sort of went home, had some time, maybe with family
and
or friends,
the
just
poll
to try
and
and counter
starting.
the bigger problem, which was the burnout.
TH.
For now, though, it seems like FPX are going to go straight for that middle control. Now, we've seen teams using, well, even them, using the Viper wall for the same
I know
purpose,
TX. Sub everybody will
already, both
choose TH.
utilized early in the round
I know it.
just to try and take this space.
Oh, Life is really committing to this. Decoy sent through a flash to start, and they're trying to catch a fight. Unfortunately, they have. It was Gen.G Fishy to take down Life and slow this push completely. The squad now trapped in by Old coming in from Woot. Big play from Boo. He's caught Autumn off guard. Barely any ground to hold on to for FPX, and now down to nothing. Berlin, he's made it to the site. His sneak up through B main is successful. Unfortunately, he's got 4 opponents to take down in a reveal that's going to make him give it away. The steps definitely shown Heretics where he is, and well, I don't think he's getting away with this one. The crash finally gets him.
Boo is nice. Boo is a nice person. He gets detained, he decides, you know what, I'm actually just going to finish him off before anything else can happen, and even get himself the extra ultimate orb, which gets him that little bit closer. The problem for FPX is financially a bit of a weird one. You've got yourself Aya with a bit of extra cash. The same can be said for Life, which, hey, again, you put him in the right position and things can definitely go their way. I feel like the problem with this round, though, was they wanted to try and go for mid-control, but it was a very talented round. Like, you're using both smokes, like, unless you're going for some crazy fake play, I don't think it's going to fool anyone, and the main person that could have been caught was Gen.G.
Yeah, and he hit his shot. Simple as that.
Cypher entry कर रहा है यार. It's just me. मेरी life में मैं नहीं entry करता होता हूँ. मेरी lobby में.
That dart caught Life as well. A shock dart sent
ये duelist ऐसे ही होते हैं यार. ये duelist नीचे तक.
Berlin down to 62.
जिसे परेशान है अपनी team के duelist से.
Work with here. Obviously, still the rifle on Aya, but the rest of the squad just with pistols, and Well, they are going to need a big performance to make this one. It's not about winning it. It's about keeping that economy managed on the Team Heretics side. They can't have all 5 players carrying rifles through to the next round, and at least there's the first to fall. MiniBoo with Wood and Rien super low. This could still be an okay round in terms of economy damage for the attackers.
It does revolve. Maybe on a sneaky play from Autumn. He's making his way down mid. The problem is if his teammate falls, it would mean that they eventually start looking back in the other direction.
कैसे खेलते हैं ये
anyway. Even still,
if you can learn
the
it.
aggressive position of Boo means that a plant is going to be tough.
मैं खुद
And
सीख रहा
even
हूँ.
still, they're going to walk back into a trip. So there really is just going to be so much information. Boo is just waiting for a mistake to be made. Utility trying to be cleared from Aya, but he is dead. Like, unless Boo makes a massive mistake, I don't think there's any way that Aya's going to survive.
कभी clear कर ही नहीं सकता कि कहाँ पर बंदा है. Impossible है. एक बार आपने वो जगह छोड़ी. There is no way कि आप वो वापस recheck कर सकते हो चीजें.
Even had the information with the trap being broken earlier, and obviously the steps were loud as can be. Autumn with a chance. There's one, and low HP on Rienz if he can isolate the fight, but he wants the rifle, and Benji's guarding it. 4-1, a solid start to this defensive side. Heretics lose their 3rd round, one that they're kind of expected to, where they had the weaker weapons, but since rifles come out, doesn't look like they're breaking much of a sweat. That last round wasn't a big one from FPX, though. This is where the investment comes through for the attacking side.
I think the scary prospect, though, is just bear in mind that Bind is up next. A map that there was a 6-win streak for the side of Heretics until that was ended in OT by Vitality. That was the way that they managed to actually qualify for Champions in the first place. So I wouldn't say that Bind is going to be a weak map, and it's one that I don't think is the best for FPX. So and maybe they've changed things, maybe they got something new to throw in, but I think they're sort of
How
like
many
hidden
vote for
gem
Heretics?
was this map. Not many teams are, I would say, at the top level. Like
50-50. Somebody supporting FPX here.
I don't think the meta has necessarily been
Nice.
set. And if they're going to get, well,
Okay.
which I wouldn't say they are yet, but no.
I am getting FPX supporter
I like the fact that
here.
they called a pause already. It's not really
Guys,
been like a
FPX, really?
catastrophic
चलो देखते हैं
destruction of
कौन
what they've
जीतता
been
है.
attempting, but I feel like so far everything they've tried, considering they've got this like Eurocomp, which is meant to be a bit off kilter and catch people, it hasn't. It's been quite obvious what they've been trying to do.
Yeah, Heretics have seemed ready for it every step of the way, and I think even the mid push you talked about, as you said, telegraphed with smokes, then the decoy goes through, they let it pass, take the fight immediately. It was Gen.G dropping life after the flash, after the decoy had gone through, just
FPX.
avoiding the utility and dealing with the man himself. And I think that's a problem that FPX are going to look to solve by, as you said, slowing down this round, looking for a bit more global control instead of isolating just one angle and pushing down there, and then sending late lurks out that Heretics are ready for because they've often got the advantages. Like you said, they're not getting boomed just yet. 4-1.
इस मैप पे 6 जन होने चाहिए टीम में, 5 नहीं 6. We need one more guy. 6v6.
And now this is the
इतना
best
बड़ा
time
मैप है.
for it. A bunch of ultimates online, albeit Lysor and Berlin's not high impact, but the rifle's coming out.
They've tried to do the same again, like throw a couple of early smokes, but this is just a ruse. It's trying to sell the idea that they're going for the same play. The problem is there's been a change up from Heretics as well. They've now got the operator roaming in mid, so nobody else has moved. The orb being taken is definitely going to be heard as well. So again, like the idea was to try and sell some sort of thing, sell some sort of lurk.
दोनों हैं साइड पर.
But thus far, that hasn't happened.
No success in that front whatsoever. Team Heretics with, you know, we mentioned the change-up in setup that we saw a few rounds ago where Gen.G came in to prevent this B-site push. You've not just got Gen.G, but Boo here as well.
ये स्मोक अच्छा पता है क्यों है ये स्मोक बीच वाला क्योंकि इन्हें क्रॉस करने की जगह देता है.
It's not even going to be touched. They allow it to fade into insignificance. Trap luckily not going to catch anyone. Aya is able to destroy it in time.
trap
deep
लगाने
the
चाहिए.
space. Now the rotations
बहुत
come
आगे
in from
लगाने
Heretics.
change करने
Now they
चाहिए.
look to defend that B site or even to retake it. But little do they know the spike is going elsewhere. All they have to do on this site is buy time. And Aya's done a good job of that. Autumn might not be able to get out of here, but look at Lysor's position. Sneaking up through mid, cutting this defense apart. And Autumn's even picked another.
It's a double dip, almost a triple dip. They sell an initial fake, throw it into it, what
Almost
seems like a take of the B side,
almost.
and then throw it back over to A again. That was really
Guys, you got a match.
incredibly complicated. It's something that you do feel like at any stage, if Heretics manage to catch on, it could have gone completely wrong, but I like it. Like, you're throwing in the double smokes early again. You're then going to be using an ultimate and then and even sending a couple of players into that site and then going back in the other direction with, what, 20 seconds left on the clock? I think the main point of that round, though, was Lysor. Just having him still in middle, leaving Autumn as the secondary lurk, it makes it so difficult for anybody to actually move on Heretics without being caught or being put in a 1v1.
भाई इतने corners है ना, off mid में ही चलती है, उसके बाद off
just like the pistol, Heretics with a triple push up. They've spotted the operator already, and the dash actually caught on the wall. That's going to cost MiniBoo his life. The flash stopped him from being able to see exactly where he was dashing to. Well, a terrific start for FPX, and I think this was a response from Heretics to the last round. They played it blind, tried to rotate, assuming FPX were going to be as one-dimensional as they were a few rounds ago, and instead, they now go for the push to get the early info.
We need to do more watch parties, likes, थोड़ी help हो जाएगी.
And FPX can now go back to that 2D play because
भाई देखना कैमरा का
the
लगाया
advantage. You're not going to have as many players rotating in.
They're pushing into what is almost at this stage a double Sentinel. It's a bit of a gamble keeping both players here, even having a rotation.
Just spam में मर जाएगा इस पे तो.
As well, who has been hitting his shot so far. Boo even going to just be
ये तो
waiting behind, but it's almost just a peek out straight behind the utility.
Nice strat, nice
Boo goes down. Gen.G is still here, looking to try and fight on top of it. He almost gets two. The second player so desperately low, even knows that he's still on this corner. Just waiting for someone to try and swing around that corner. I think he's got him dead to rights, a second to his name. But that wraparound, they're waiting for it, they're trying to watch for it. And almost getting that information might just give the game away. Berlin still managing to fight back with another. Putting thing into a 2 versus 2, but that time has been ticking all the way along. Gen.G looking to try and get things to half. He's succeeded. But with his teammate going down, it's now left all onto him, surrounded in the end, and FPX.
Omen को ignore मार दिया भाई.
They got a little bit dicey, but they get it over the
line. मेरे लौंडे मारते हैं lobby में, silver
You told me that Life does some crazy stuff, and yeah, I'm waiting for the TPs and so on. There he fake TPs, pushes through a smoke with an op. Hey, that's not a conventional play. It's not one I'd recommend you try at home, but my goodness, it most certainly has worked. And again, that early aggression towards A, the fact that Heretics try to take the space to find a solution to the problems they had last time, well, it hasn't worked out. And now from the Heretics side, you know that if you play it slow and rotate in off what is clearly an execute, FPX might fake it. If you go for the early aggression to grab control so that you know where the hit's coming through, FPX might be waiting. This is a very good resurgence, a team that was 4-1 down with no answers. They've certainly started to fill in that worksheet.
And the bigger problem now is the economy. I will say there's a lot of ults that are either online or very close. MiniBoo 1 away, Rian's 1 away. This round on paper seems easy, but if I've learned anything from Heretics is that Gen.G plays better with the Sheriff. And Mark, who's to doubt the other players on this squad? Again, I feel like the darts from Rian's have pinged up the entire team multiple times. I feel like FPX might have to go to the workshop and try and shoot those before they go off. Again though, FPX just taking things slow. They know that a round like this is likely to have weaknesses, likely to have pieces missing, so they don't really need to overface.
All they have to do is get towards this side as well. They have the pit if things start to go wrong, but unlikely to be used in a round where there's mostly weaker weapons. Instead, this ultimate, the dimensional drift is used.
Guys, my laptop पे keyboard use कर रहा हूँ इसलिए.
Grab the info, go for a very aggressive peek. The flash even thrown through by Woot gets nothing, and the control swinging clearly in favor of FPX. A 5 versus 2. There'll be no pit used this round, I'll guarantee you of that. With a plant on the bridge, this round has become very difficult for Heretics to even find anything in. You're talking about economy damage at this point, and it's one man. Make that no man. Aya's had a hell of a round.
Yeah, no, he just goes running in, takes the battles. Obviously, the space was taken initially by Life. I don't mind committing an ult like that in a round where ultimately you're in a position to spare a few here and there and just make sure that you're not going to lose to pistols. As said, the opponents can be incredibly dangerous on the side of Heretics with those pistols in hand, and he was able to make sure there at least wasn't a direct stack on the side. Although there was 3 players around, and well, he kind of dealt with those very easily indeed.
We've had a Team Heretics pause called 4-1 in the lead, and now tied up neck and neck, with FPX seemingly having an answer for every problem they're presented with. And this is a big round for Heretics. Last time, they had the pistols, like we said. Now, they've got rifles and an operator. Ultimates ×4. FPX still have that Viper's Pit to fall back on. Aya's picked up the Nightfall as well.
I think the things that worry me again is MiniBoo. He's getting off to a bit of a quiet start, and we know that he is someone
Heretics
very self-critical, very hard on himself, and also someone that I think the highs are very high and the lows are very low. And obviously,
जो FPX को vote करे FPX को vote करो. Let's see कौन है supporter FPX को. And FPX GT तो will do a custom games. Okay.
I think that
वो भी FPX वालों के साथ.
But when they come to the international stage, well, the teams they lost to last time around were Team Heretics, where they lost 15-17 in the last map in OT, and a team called Gen.G. So,
I heard.
And they took a map off both. So this is a team that I think, again, maybe if you're a Sentinels fan, you're thinking, it's fine, we'll have FPX in the lower bracket.
Competition अभी भी
I would
maintain
not breathe
नहीं
easy
है.
just yet.
Well, they took a map off Gen.G, Sentinels didn't.
Heretics very ahead, 67%.
Sure. But I think this group
By fair frame, Astra का वो mid में Cypher लर्क कर रहा है. और Cypher को ignore मार दिया, late लर्क आएगा वो बहुत late आएगा वो.
A lot of damage done off the rip.
Yes, well, I is extremely low, but so too is Woot. Oh, hello. Crash still there to be used. Big backside push. Berlin holds the line for a moment, but then Woot on his low HP, the one to trade out, pick up the double, and leave FPX scrambling.
Mid just to clear out that lurk. I think Rian just had enough. He's like, he's gonna be
same
here.
thing. Astra की जब भी वो होती है वो योरू A पर जाता है. इस बार फिर पे they are doing it. योरू A पहुंच चुका है and
there's nothing that anyone can do to stop
last time also same they did last time. 2 round पहले 3 round पहले.
That might slow them down a bit. And that is what he's gonna go for. It's not hit.
It was close, but unfortunately it comes at the cost of his life. With Life himself
very
being
basic
the one to
mistake.
grab that kill.
This is a new map. I guess nobody plays
it. Activated by MiniBoo. So they're going to commit to this.
FPX
going through that Viper's pit with a blade storm might be an advantage. Find him, drop the right click, and get it done. Flash out a little early. Life's going to get ahead of the Thrash, but not destroy it. Luckily, it's gone too deep. It's inside the ultimate itself. You're not going to be able to recover that. Certainly not with any form of ease. MiniBoo, I almost expected him to go up top. Instead, he's just running it through, finding one, but it's not the Viper. Now you're down to the Operator. That's not the right weapon for the job. The spray's good to drop the diffuser, and although Autumn falls, the time already too far gone, and they can't deal with Life. FPX, this started out abysmal for him, but they've taken the lead.
Yeah, I've heard the phrase "life comes at
So
you
one guy's
fast," but I've never heard "life clutches
like
it out."
करके देखना यार.
He seems to be everywhere, and that's
we
the
want
thing.
to hit
Aya's
at
been
least
having a great game, but Life is up there as well. Normally as the tip
20
of the
likes
spear,
for
and
now?
somehow even surviving to the late game as well.
Let's see, we can reach 20 or not.
Was just the mid-round calling has been exceptional. Like we have seen different moments where they start one side of the map, they go for these opening picks, and by the time you even notice it, they're back on the other side, they've cleared everything out, and even losing the lurk. Like that was the moment you think, okay, the round's done.
Well, they had 2 lurks.
Yeah, and then they go hunting. Life again was the guy who got the kill on Rian. Oh no. No, look away. Look away.
When you talk about MiniBoo being self-critical,
this is so dumb.
I hope he can
but
let that
happens
one go.
with everyone. Everyone,
That's
wo jagah.
Other people can let that one go as well. I think that's going to be in a montage or two.
They only have pistols. At least they only have pistols this round. Right. It's not as bad as it could have been. That's rough, man. That is very rough.
Yeah.
FPX.
GB loves the phrase "from the top rope." I don't think that's what he meant.
From the mid rope, right down.
मैं अब तो लग रहा है vote change करना पड़ेगा. FPX को support करना पड़ेगा.
And it's a 5v4 with FPX having the lead without drawing blood themselves. They've got to be happy about that.
Berlin did get the kill.
Technically, it was given, but he wasn't too involved. It was by proxy.
No, it's just fear. He saw into Berlin's eyes. Maybe MiniBoo has nightmares of Berlin in more ways than one.
Oh, wow.
Here we go. 4 players to try and find anything again. I feel like we've been saying this a lot, just an attempt to do damage, and wow, Woot's gonna get one for free. That's not too bad. Trade eventually there from Aya. Keeping them honest. No ultimates if they needed them, but I don't think they will. This is now falling perfectly into place for the side of FPX. 6-4. Correct me if I'm wrong, 4-1. They have now managed to streak themselves 5 rounds in a row. There you go. Well, you can see it on your screen. Don't need my help.
Yeah, it's been a very impressive resurgence.
It just, that's the...
Oh, you can see it in the player
The thing is, it's the worst player for it to happen to as well, because I feel like if Gen.G has like, he's gonna be giggling, he's gonna be having a laugh.
Laughing away.
I think Woot
Is that a coach sad?
MiniBoo after having a rough start, I feel like that might get to him, and he's gonna go aggro. I think wanted to try and rectify things, but hey, FPX.
तो MiniBoo का return है, ये भी देखना चाहिए. The last time was कि बिना खेली थी and they did absolutely well.
A little bit loose, a little bit crazy. Setting out the late lurk for Berlin. He's going to be covering the back lines when the traps from Cypher don't. And for Team Heretics, same old thing. Group up, play this as a blob, move together. Smoke's online for Boo fairly soon. He's popping down his stars as we speak. But the time here is a big problem.
They've had it for a while. They could section things off. There you go. Space taken, but they have to deal with life.
They also have to be quick because Berlin's on the way up behind. And if he finds that space before they've claimed the site, this could be an absolute disaster. Problem is, denying this defuse is very difficult. Oh, the run through is good. And the shorty comes out for more. A gorgeous play from Autumn. I thought that was going to be a close round, if anything, a guaranteed for Heretics back on the board. But, well, FPX just doing FPX things.
The funny thing is, if Gen.G stood a little bit further forward, he dies to full damage.
He pushes him off.
He literally would have fallen off, but
they
I
are
guess
saying
it's
the
a
same
risk.
thing.
It would be a big risk just to play that far forward, but yeah, the fact he jumps in, sprays ones down, and then gets the second with the shorty, like, and the Cosmic Divide was great, but again, when you're up against a team like this who have no fear, they don't mind playing through your utility, you have to basically body check them into not playing confidently, and I don't think anybody's managed to do that ever. And well, speaking of confidence, Autumn's coming into this round with the Viper attack side op. Actually, in fact, so is Aya.
Yeah, I mean, they've got extra credits. I have to assume there's a weapon on the floor in case things start to spiral out. This is the last round of the half, remember, and well, Berlin's got enough credits to buy them a few spare rifles, so does Lysor. For FPX, well, 6 rounds in a row. No surprise to see them playing confident, and even in the last round, I feel like they had that hero play, but they also had Berlin coming up behind. If the play was slightly slower from Heretics, throwing out a lot of opportunities for themselves in the late round. Now it's going to be the same thing. Lysor mid lurk, play to B site, but again, Heretics, all the utils here, and they've got Rians this time.
As I said, his darts have been impressive, and he's got it online now. Trying to get that information, and it is eventually going to be denied. In fact, not catching anybody this time. The one time it would have been almost instant death for the side of this attack. They're taking the space.
Gen.G किसी के ट्रैप में कोई फंसा ही नहीं है। इसे उस साइड पे खेलना चाहिए था। इसे B पे खेलना चाहिए क्योंकि B पे एक ही एंट्री है। A पर कूद के भी कोई आ जाता है कॉर्नर। सॉरी इसे A पर खेलना चाहिए। B पर बहुत सारी एंट्री हैं।
He's heard the steps of MiniBoo coming behind him. He's trying to catch this guy off guard instead, and now looks to switch back. That plant is just about going to be coming in time.
3v3.
They've still got to worry about that flank.
Yeah, it's made its way up top now, and well, it doesn't look like the flank's the main problem. Berlin's holding strong. Autumn's here to support, although he's lost his head. Now the flank going to be dealt with, but ammo is the main concern. 8-4 as we close out this half, and FPX, they were 4-1 down.
Yeah.
This was looking bad. They needed an answer, and by golly, they found it.
Yeah, no, this was just an impressive dismantling. I've really enjoyed the way that we've seen mid-round switch-ups, more direct takes. As I said, I think the calling, honestly, from the side of FPX has been utterly sublime. And then just those individual plays, like Lysor, bottom of the board, has been an irritant for them the entirety of this half.
Well, nothing but problems for the side of Team Heretics after round 5. There's been no success. They'll get a moment to recoup ahead of the next half. We'll be back in just a little bit.
Oh, come on.
Guys, vote karo. I want to see more votes.
In any condition, guaranteed. And get $800 off the new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Guys, let's see how many votes we can get. Guys, up to FPX looks very strong, okay? और जीत सकती है FPX, देखा जाए जीत सकती है।
after a big streak of rounds from FPX. It's got to be said, Heretics probably not feeling the greatest after that half. They had full control, hands on the reins. Now they've been left out in the cold. For FPX, everything's going right. Every call they make is coming to fruition, and I think for Heretics, this pistol will be essential. We've got MiniBoo 3 and 10. He fell off the map as well. I mean, as far as confidence builders go, this has been a disaster of a start.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't get much worse, and just look at already what's being attempted. You got the Viper screen down in case they needed to cover mid, but instead they've just TP'd right into it. Gen.G though has managed to catch the first player. I want to point out there was more than one. Berlin is still going, but it seems like Boo is very aware of the potential of further aggression. They are holding for this FPX squad.
Yep, making some pressure on A, but I'm not even sure if they're looking to commit. For FPX, though, it seems quite clear that there's about to be a hit on that side of the map. The steps, the noise, the utility is now over there. 3 players now stacked up, with Berlin left with the responsibility
we
of
have Goku here watching you guys, okay?
And considering
I'm eating food, so Goku,
on
that's
mid, they might start
eating food, you know? Goku eating food, me eating food.
Around. There's a lot of pings here, though. Pings that certainly indicate they're suspicious of a player being around here, and they've caught Berlin. Okay, the snake in the grass dealt with, and Heretics, I think, are going to move into the B site. Yes, they are, and it's wide open.
Yeah, they've been
I will do that soon.
I think they were very ready for that mid push, something that is attempted by FPX, and a fair few rounds.
30 seconds left.
Watching it from multiple angles, and while now for the defense, they are going to need themselves a bit of a hero play. Wingman will be sent through. A little obstacle course for him to make it onto the site, but defense already here. All 3 players looking for someone to make a mistake.
Well, perhaps Rian's has. He faced into Lysor, who seems to be hungry for some kills. Already picking up 2. And damage done to Gen.G. This is workable. With Lysor down, the pressure falls on Autumn. He's had some big plays, big rounds, but it's a little tough to do in the pistol, surrounded on all sides. And Heretics, everybody put the work in this time. A team ace to put a round on the board after quite a while. They finally get to taste victory.
Yeah, it's an important one for them. And now that's both pistols in this map 1, and currently still going to be at a deficit unless they manage to win the bonus or something of that sort. It's definitely not an ideal scenario. But I will say, from what we've seen, at least in the pistol, they're aware of what's going to be attempted by FPX. The thing is, they've cooked up a lot of stuff on this map. I'm still waiting for the round where Berlin gets his ultimate online to see if he's going to try some of the stuff that he was attempting in previous matches versus EDG, trying to jump off the map, use his ultimate to teleport across, cancel it, and then Shrouded step back onto the map. And then he got shot in the face. But the idea is there. It's just, if he can make that work, he's going to look like the greatest player ever. But this round, well, any kills would be nice. And any damage they can do. On the other side of things, as always, Heretics have got a couple of pistols that they can use as, well, in this case, lurkers, or to take more of a risk if needed.
Yeah, much more controlled early round from Heretics than what we saw from FPX in those first couple. Spread out, just looking to push and pull the map and get a sense of what they're up against on this defensive side.
Here, don't you worry, okay?
The gamble. I'm not sure that it'll find value. That aggression you're seeing out of Heretics is only to find the orb, and then they're on the rotation back towards this site that's much more open. Just one man defending it, and Life is about to go through the smoke, and that will be the end of him. A site now open for the taking. A little bit of Cypher utility awaiting them, but no one to execute on the back of it.
No one there. He can walk into every single one of those trips unless it catches him and pulls him off the map. I don't think that's going to be working. And I was about to say, surely at this point, if he hasn't realized it by now, we have a problem. For the rest of the players, it may genuinely just be a, well, I was going to say die to the spike, or, you know, there's other ways. Oh no, I tripped.
I have tripped and fallen. No. FPX, I think the spike is the likely play. And look to just punish anybody that gets aggressive.
If they catch someone, get an orb. The thing is, none of their ultimates are even remotely close. Lysor is the closest, and I don't think it's worth risking giving stuff over to the other side. Although Boo is going to gamble. He wants to try and get himself a little closer. Only has a pistol to play with, so it's an orb for an orb. Not going to be the worst scenario, not going to be the best. Well, Heretics have closed the distance a little bit more. The problem being, though, is in the buy rounds is where FPX were, well, as you can see by the timeline, by far the better side.
Yes, absolutely. When those rifles come out, when old cycles are through, and honestly, a lot of the time it's been nothing to do with ultimates. It is just how they're playing the map. But on the attack side, it's a different game.
Heretics
don't expect them to slow down too much,
जीतेगी
though. The results here, this is
Heretics नहीं हार
it's their pick
सकती.
for a reason. On this defense, B side, Viper, Autumn's been having a good game so far, and his challenge is a little bit more aggressive than what we saw from Heretics. Boo was constantly playing far back in heaven, or Gen.G playing towards the spawn with his utility. Instead, Autumn is out looking for a fight.
Because they've got Thrash online. If he's not put into a better position, or if he's caught out, he is the only defender of this site, so that definitely could be an issue. I think also just playing on this side when there's a Gecko, because that is the normal route to send through Wingman to get you into the afterplant. It's the common post-plant that we see from a lot of teams. And I guess with Berlin now alongside him, it isn't so much of a risk. I think we've also seen a bit of utility on the other side of the map, so I think FPX at this point have a pretty decent idea. That doesn't necessarily mean that Heretics are going to stick to this. In fact, no, they're doubling back.
Some of these rounds are going to hinge on that mid lurk, and we've seen Gen.G sitting around this position, but only holding for the aggression. Not looking to get up in their faces, opening the door at least to cause some paranoia, but, well, FPX know there's nothing going on. Life has committed himself to holding down middle. FPX have a lot of utility on A. We saw this in the last round. The traps were there awaiting them. Although we'll have Thrash going through first, you've still got to avoid those traps. That's exactly what MiniBoo does. Updraft dash takes heaven control, but no punish just yet there. Lysor eventually falls from the jump up. MiniBoo looks to be a thorn in their side up in heaven, not just by himself, but with two players, make that nobody. Woot dies, and the fallback from Boo now leaves MiniBoo alone.
They've seen him. It seems like it. Lots of utility being expended, and he's isolated. And the aggression elsewhere hasn't succeeded either. Boo falls, puts the advantage with the defense. Rians and Gen.G. A little bit of an angle over the top, which might just give the game away. A nice shot from Rians, puts things back into a 2 versus 2. For a moment, it looked like Ayung was going to try and jump around, but he's thought better of it. That time continuing to tick, Rians continuing to land every shot. 4 kills for him in this round. That Sova switch seems to just work for him. An agent he thrives under, but well, maybe the Guardian's working just a little bit better.
Well, everything else went wrong for them there, but Rian's went right. Unbelievable. The fact that MiniBoo's isolated, either expected or spotted up in heaven, dealt with the utility thrown down, him forced out of position, and that Woot got caught going up. You know, the idea was to have 3 players there to take a fight, to maybe even flash through the smoke and get super aggressive. But once Woot falls, Boo's in no man's land and quickly swept up.
It's the Turkish Olympian. He doesn't need any of that high-tech mumbo-jumbo.
No.
Put a gun in his hand. And well, they'll be hoping this time it's not the silver medal. Either way, that has wrecked the economy of FPX.
Yeah.
Ayung is going to be in the same position, trying to make that Guardian work. And to be fair, when he's had a hero rifle, there has been extra damage caused. There's no doubt about it. The rest left just onto pistols. I guess in that case, I'd probably be watching Lysor, because his share is fairly nasty. For the other side, though, you got Hunter's Fury, 1 away as well from a Cosmic Divide, which for the most part, it's not normally the most impactful, but when you're up against pistols, being able to section off an angle, if there's a stack, could be high priority. Instead, though, Heretics, again, they fall into this passive default. They are expecting aggression. They're expecting pushes. And to be fair, other than the mid-push, no one's really moving.
Yeah, it's a slow play. And with 40 seconds left, that's when Heretics start to look somewhere else, start to move, and abandon those lurk catches. Well, if Berlin hadn't walked in with his back turned, I think that could have been a different fight. Instead, MiniBoo grabs the opening. It does spur them onto the B side where everyone's waiting, and it's Ayung taking 2 headshots at that with the Guardian. And they're in a bit of trouble jumping across that bridge because Ayung's still waiting. His 4th kill locked in already. And Gen.G Fishy left in an impossible situation. 3 players and Ayung looking for the ace. He's got it locked in. Another round for FPX, and what a way to do it.
Well, 2 rounds, 9 Guardian kills. I don't think you're going to find that too often in the history of Valorant. 2 players that can both hit the headshots, but Ayung just doing it a little bit better. The first 2 was so disgustingly clean, but let's be real. I think there was about 1, maybe 2 missed bullets in the entirety of this round for him. FPX showing the depth of skill. He is 19 and 10 right now on the scoreboard. Nobody even close.
Yeah, and again, I hate to harp on it, but we opened this up by talking about it, and even we finished the EMEA Stage 2 by talking about MiniBoo's state. This is a guy that relies on confidence and hasn't had it recently. Bottom of the board, 5 and 12.
They got killed that round.
He did, great, fantastic. But I mean, the problem is, when you look at FPX now, they have the exact opposite problem. Confidence has got to be sky high. They had a streak of rounds in the last half. Now they've put one on the board here in the defense in that kind of fashion. The only thing is, Heretics are still in an okay position to buy up, but they lose this round.
Like करो और vote करो. Let's see कौन जीतता है.
FPX, they're
9-7 FPX के.
I think that the thing for them in this series, though,
let's
is again, what I said when they were 4-1 up, I'll say it now that they're down. This is the map that if FPX are going to compete, they have to win.
Full support to
I think
FPX,
going into Bind, Heretics are going to feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's a map they've got a lot more reps on. In officials, at Masters, you name it, they've played it. So I don't think they're going to be too worried. But of course, coming into this tournament, you want to start clean. You want to start as clean as possible, because you know if you win this one, you've got your grand final again. Yeah. We've already seen 1 grand final rematch. I think most people were expecting a second. This group truly is terrifying. Life though, well, that's just absurd. He just tried something so risky. He's walked into. Yep, that's the whole Heretics team.
That is everybody. Young might be in a position to get under that. I think it's just about going to catch him. We'll see. Yeah, he's had to break it as he makes his way through, and now they're aware. They're turning.
Would have made it if he was bold. That's all I'm saying. Another win for the bold gang.
Another win, the first win, let's say.
Wow.
Team Heretics, 4 versus 1 at this point. It seems to be locked in, but it's Young on the other side. I'm not certain it'll be an easy victory if he decides to go for it, but definitely one that seems locked in.
I believe.
Economy, a little shaky. And for the defensive side, I think it's better to just carry this weapon through to the next. They've made the right call, but that does put Team Heretics with a foot in the door.
Yeah, it sort of is what the desk was talking about. It's the aggressive plays either look amazing or they look like that. You try and flash through a smoke, the whole team is waiting on the other side, you get wrecked. It's going to happen. It's how this composition almost works for them. Like, you have yourself that solo initiator, and because of it, and they do this a lot, they play the double controller or even triple controller on a lot of maps, so you're very reliant on the solo initiator or, and in most cases it's the or, Life to be an initiator with his face. So he's going to go running into angles, flashing into angles. You'll see it, no matter the agent, if he plays Jet, if he plays Raze, he's going to be taking space that you wouldn't even expect the craziest of duelists to take because of the comps that they're running, because they're more reliant on him to do stuff like that. And unfortunately, well, you lose 2 opening picks immediately off the rip. The round's going to go wrong. Luckily, with that extra save, with the extra gun, they're still going to come in with the purchase. And ultimates, honestly, at this stage, fairly even.
Yeah, relatively neck and neck. I mean, you can understand that last round, the early aggression. Sometimes you got to just throw in a little extra flair to your round. And if there's a lurker there, he's dead, most likely. But, well, there were 5 people ready to take the fight. For FPX, rotation comes through. Life now in position, ready to take this B fight. In fact, the decoy is sent straight through, and Life is awaited. They let the decoy run past, took the main man down, and now the advantage, well, actually quickly flips hands. Autumn making a fight for it. Boo, though, answers back up alongside Woot. A 2 versus 3, a retake needed for FPX. The spike planted relatively open. The Thrash online just in case. And there's not a lot to say for FPX in terms of their chances. They need picks, they need to get aggressive. At least they'll have the information to work with, but I don't know what that is going to get them. Maybe point the guns in the right direction. Little lurk around from Young. He's going to go for it, yeah. But find absolutely nothing. A firing squad waiting for him.
Yeah, Brians is there, so clean with it at the end. Scoreline equalized.
Guys, like करके जाओ मत
Again, I think some more just solid utility. We saw the initial flashes that I think the Gecko flash caught like everybody who was on that side.
Okay.
Like, every POV we switched
So
to,
let's
I'm sure.
talk whoever
like,
is watching.
get one that isn't blind. Just try and find them as they go. But it was rough on the way in, and I also think the dart. Yeah, you could just see the combination of utility.
Reveal OP reveal भाई वो reveal से किल आए उसके 2-3 तो.
That just left
Just Sova ka dart got them
without
killed.
being able to see and being revealed. And I think there was even a counter ultimate of a Nightfall that was thrown in by
that 9-7 gap or 10-7 gap facing an eco. But taking it here means Heretics likely push up to double digits. And if damage isn't done in this round, they'll have a lot of safety net to fall back on.
That's similar to the last half, but at this stage looking a little bit worse for wear. And I think that the problem right now seems to be that any of the aggression they're attempting,
Heretics again in the win, 55%.
I think Heretics are doing well, and at least when it's versus the buy rounds,
FPX supporters,
they're basically just grouping up. They're knowing that, okay, either we go for a direct
you guys
take
are
together,
losing.
we have our trips to still give away the game. But also, they're probably going to push. And as long as someone's playing anti-flash or looking the other way, a lot of what Life is going to be attempting isn't going to work. This setup is dirty. They've got a paranoia setup, a cam looking forward. They could also send a prowler through from the corner. This is an almost perfect trap if somebody walks into it, which they didn't. So now the rest of them are going to go hunting this guy with a Guardian. Ayung is gross.
He needs to stop buying the Vandal.
Yeah,
Guardian is a good gun. See, Guardian is OP.
20 and 11. So many of those are
First block accuracy उसकी बहुत अच्छी है Guardian की.
50 seconds on the clock. Spike's already made it to the B site. Planted as we speak. Woot. Well, his Dizzy's gone. He's going to play aggressive.
नई वाली Phantom की animation तो अच्छा है ना.
Instead, to try to disorientate the team, the defensive side with a flare of aggression. GenG's caught one in the flank. There's a lot more coming. 20 HP left on Ayung. That'll limit his impact. Autumn, I thought he had something special up his sleeve, but just the one to be found. Still though, a 2 versus 2. Ayung at full HP. I might even favor them in this position. I might favor them still. A chance with both solo. 10 HP in the difference. Shock dart in. Rien's finding it. And double digits is locked in. This, considering the limited investment from FPX, came very close though.
The util king. Honestly, Rien's is having a game. Whether it's his reveals, whether it's the shot darts, or whether it's just
MiniBoo का comeback कैसा रहा है? 6 kill पर है बेचारा.
He's playing a wonderful match right now for them. It has been a difference maker. They haven't been able to really do too much to deal with him.
अकेले carry कर रहा. Boot को लिया था इन्होंने उसकी जगह पर.
Dangerous.
MiniBoo जब break पर था.
Another couple of kills. In fact, I think the last kills he got before that were also with the Guardian when he got that 4K. That was when we last saw something from him. Viper's Pit immediately put into play, trip alongside it, and it means that they're going to try and gamble elsewhere. Have 3 players towards the B site. Middle control will be held by Lysor, but once again, and no surprise, Heretics are taking their time.
Lysor is going to be pretty passive, extremely passive in fact, because you've got the trap sitting inside that Viper's Pit on A. You have 3 kills if they decide to push up. And even if they break it, you're going to have Autumn probably swinging on you right away, spraying a Phantom, no tracers, and you're already decayed massively.
Mid-fight होने वाली है.
It's a huge bit of control to play with for this defensive side, allowing them to stack that B site. The only real concern is mid, and if pressure gets applied there, TP from Life, he's there to fight alongside Lysor, and they can take their duels. Heretics will find it hard to find a response, especially as they've pumped the brakes so heavily in this round. With 40 seconds left, still yet to really make any ground. Rien's considering the drone through A.
अकेले drone कर रहा है Viper Pit पे कोई close खेल रहा हो. बस से corner भी check नहीं कर रहा वो ऊपर वाला.
off B at least, so they found it an easier job on that side of the map. Oh, and the push through in heaven.
भाई वो कहाँ पर है ये? Pit में Cypher lurk कर गया.
He's going to be actually pinged immediately by the Dizzy, but it allows him to go back into position. Woot though, defending his little bro.
Good, man.
That means they're going to get into that after plant. Utility retrieved. The rest so far away. Ayung though has pushed in on his own, and well, he's going to get double swinged for it. A little bit over aggressive, a little bit individualistic, and because of that, the rest of his team are now still a man down, and they've got to be worried. There is the latest lurk on planet Earth from BenG. He's only just made the drop. I think it actually got heard by Autumn, so he's now waiting. That's another kill to their name, putting things back, but again, Rien's so clean, so confident in these late round scenarios.
उन पे एक्स्ट्रा का शक भी है अभी तो यार.
Defuse this, but actually, I was going to say maybe he wouldn't be pulled off, but I think he has been. The angle not being able to be kept, and eventually it's going to fall flat on its face. Another round where
Guys, 5 बजे मीटिंग है याद दिलाना join करनी है. बुला मत देना.
You know, this round, it makes sense why Gen.G took so long to get back out, because they made this the most telegraphed A push, A split of all time. The drone goes through the Viper's pit, it catches the tag, immediately on middle, Gen.G's breaking open the vents, running through to the A site, and letting them know, hey, we tagged you, we're coming to kill you, we're going to drop that pit, take the site. And the response is what it should be from FPX. They immediately rotate in. Your Viper can't just hold a 360-degree angle, but because of that, B site's much more open. Isolated fight onto Berlin, site secured, plant in, time on their side, and Gen.G, yeah, he plays it super late.
Cypher यहाँ खेलना ना A पर इनके लिए Cypher को A पर खेलना चाहिए हमेशा.
Back out on mid, they obviously know he's there, they kill him, one less guy to deal
Cypher
with.
B पे खेल रहा था.
Danger now, 4 ultimates online for Heretics in a round that if they win, wow, it will put the economy of FPX in an awkward position. Their ultimates, some close, 1 or 2 online, but this is looking like a spot where Heretics might be able to just run away with it. And as said, this is a map that is pretty important for FPX to take. Heading into bind up next. MiniBoo, space taken. He's got the Thrash actually going in behind him. That will clear the back of the site and give them all the space they need.
Should even be able to get back over to recover that, but Woot.
Woot
picking up the kill
अकेले
on the
पहले pick
Young.
लेगा
I don't
भाई
think he's going to be going
हमेशा.
for Thrash instead. Holding onto that control. Up close is MiniBoo. Ready to take the fight. No one there to support him anymore, though Heretics fall back into much more passive positions. MiniBoo's on his own to slow them down, to make it costly for FPX. Now there could be some trouble. The ult forces him out of position. He knows he was about to be revealed, but Lysor gets the kill. Now the aggression from Life. Flash. Should have another. There it is. Popped and ult completed. Not able to find anything. Sending the decoy through. Just buying the space. Keeping them back in the choke point as the defuse starts. Now he'll body block. Look to absorb those bullets for his teammate. They've killed Life. And now they need the diffuser. Looks like they'll get him just in time. With it ticking away, all they have to do is deny that diffuse with the
Riens again got 4K, 3K.
Close it out. That's 12-9. FPX left in a really difficult
last
spot
round,
now.
boys. Last
Economy
round. जो ये round
three
जीता
in a
उसे
row
match
needed
जीता
to stay
मान लेंगे.
alive.
That's the thing. If you're in a late round and you see Riens is alive, just run. Just run. Like, it's a little bit unlucky, like the smoke fading just revealed Berlin to everybody at the end. The body block from Life was a nice idea, but that smoke just, yeah, it wasn't quite there, just not long enough. And while the final push from Riens, him and Woot, the Turkish duo, up there at the top of the board.
And I think the smoke faded because when they put it up, I think, I could be wrong, but I think they took a second to get towards it because they were cautious of any traps being there. With such a passive hold as well, like I saw them crouch walking into the smoke. An unfortunate one. The 12-9 on the board. Heretics on the cusp of victory. In the map they were 4-1 up in and then lost a streak of rounds, but Riens is pulling them, kicking and screaming back into this series.
Yeah, it's going to sound harsh, but when you have initiators putting up this many numbers, sometimes your duelist can have a bad game. Like, it really just, it's so ridiculous how talented these two Turkish players can be.
Get out of my way!
And let's say it's been needed. FPX have at no point looked out of this map. In fact, it looks like it was going to go dominantly in their favor at a stage, but the second they got onto this defense, it's been a round won by Ayung. And other than that, not a lot to write home about. Bladestorm in. Ayung also has the ult available, and Berlin's gone pushing.
Yeah, they got all the control.
Heretics को vote करो, FPX वाले कहाँ? Change करो vote चलो.
Oh, he doesn't react in time. The player on the side of his screen. Autumn's picked him up, and now the flank comes underway, or the quicker rotation through the vents. Young able to grab one, and it's Lysor's double. At least giving them a chance in this with low HP, the decay fading, but Boo still on 54.
They'll have
a tough time in closing this one out. Still stars to play with. Has his grab well, and that is going to be the port of call to start this one off, buying him a little bit more time. A looky spam could even the odds. And indeed, they baited out immediately, aware that he's going to be trying something nasty like that. He needs to start spraying. He knows this could be being diffused, and they're waiting for just that. He's seen both. Now he knows it's not even half just yet. He's got a bit more time to play with 4 bullets and not enough to take them down. The defuse will go across the line for FPX. They'll reach double digits, but they still need 2 more.
I think he was incredibly wary of the flank initially, just because those were the players that push mid to kill off GenG. So he was so worried about it, but just getting that little bit of information gave Boo a chance to fight. But with the low HP already on the board, wasn't to be. And again, a lot of this comes down to just the initiative. This was something that in a lot of the games we saw from FPX where they were successful on the defense, they had a lot of cool ideas, a lot of aggressive pushes, but I think with how Heretics have been playing around mid, they've been deterred. They haven't been able to get away with a lot on this portion of the map and had to go for something quite a bit later. 2 rounds the difference. 2 rounds is all they've had. But as we've seen, they're very good at streaking rounds together.
With these weaker weapons, I'm not expecting much. Woot, though, has the rifle and is able to grab himself at least the trade to start this one off. Moving towards the site, we'll see the plant come in from the wingman. Already mostly through. The spray's not quite landing, so they're able to fall back now. 2 rifles, 3. Well, make that 2 again. It's Boo and GenG fishing, holding the chances of this squad in their hands. They only have 2 chances to close this out, and this one, well, it's not quite their best opportunity with Boo tagged up, or well, decayed down by the nightfall. The defuse already underway. Here comes the shock dart lineup. Grabwell already used to start this one off. Flank spotted as well. Lysor won't get a free kill, but with Boo falling, the numbers thin out. They dealt with flank, but they haven't dealt with the defuse, and the Hunter's Fury way too late. They'll get a tag, but that's all, and an ult expended for little to no impact.
They might be able to hold on to their weapons and again make things a little bit more costly, but FPX are not going to mind. They managed to drag this back at the depths to look to try and take this to OT. And again, like for what was invested, not a bad round from Heretics, but just throwing it out at the end. Thinking that, okay, maybe they've got it half, maybe they've got it close, but
we can still vote. We can still
along than I think anybody over on the Heretic side had thought. Yeah, it was basically
and
done.
जैसे ult waste हुई हैं, अब FPX की ult होंगी 1-2.
12 to 11.
FPX पे क्या ult है? FPX पे हाँ 2 ult है, Viper ult आने वाली है और Cypher है.
Be something to play with, and definitely still wary of these aggressive pushes.
जीत सकते हैं
Now though,
FPX.
again, looking a lot more direct from the side of Heretics.
Well, it absolutely is. You saw the
Cypher भाग जाएगा
put into the hand of Woot, and now sent out to find a victim. That was an interesting dash up top.
कैसे यार?
In the perfect
बिना
position
spot
to
करे,
punish
बिना
it.
check करे.
And now Benji, well, he's
Benji
not going to
पे
get
गया.
away with
OT guys, we are going to
They
OT.
really want to fight for heaven for Vens, but they will get nothing. Heretics
Throw कर
left
दिया,
out
throw
in the
कर दिया
dirt.
भाई. Rank game बना दिया last में तो आते थे इन
We're
लोगों ने.
going to overtime on map number 1. This was looking like Heretics had it in the bag, but a last-second resurgence from FPX keeps them in it.
I think it's been both teams now that I've expected it to go dominantly to FPX after an incredible first half. Then I was like, okay, well this is done. And now it's gone to OT, but probably in one of the weirdest fashions I've ever seen. And the thing is, I don't think Ion had been playing that position much. Like we'd seen MiniBoo multiple times dash up there and have no contention whatsoever. This time, Ion is waiting 27 and 16, by the way. It is him and Rians really running the show.
Told you it will be a competitive match. It is competitive.
The question is, who's going to be able to take it over the line? FPX, it seems like all the bells and whistles, all the fakes, all the ruses might go out the window here as all the players, all 5 in fact,
we can send emoji in the chat.
B.
Well, Heretics going for the same push-up on A, but seeing absolutely nothing this time. Going to be much quicker rotations going around, plugging the gap that's on middle, and mainly trying to support this B site. Unfortunately, they won't be there in time. Look who snuck into position, though. Boo. It's not a normal spot to be playing from, and they're not even going to clear it. They're not even looking this way. That's the spike right in front of him. He's letting it get half planted just in case he can find another kill.
One
not
more,
quite, but he does the damage. Lysor on 8 HP, but the advantage sits with FPX, and it's Lysor that's going to go forward to plant this spike. I believe uncontested, unless there's a crazy shock dart. There actually was! Riens fires it in and takes it down!
Riens अकेले मार रहा है भाई, shock dart के ले रहा है कहीं से भी.
To plant this spike, a death sentence most of the time. I believe another, it's a reveal in fact, not a shock this time. It was sent through and it's caught the information. They know where FPX are holding this from. Autumn needs a big play and only the one to be found. Berlin, 1 versus 2. And they're all going to be diffusing in that narrow little alleyway. if there is a chance, the spray might just work out, but they're trying to bait him into a fight. He sees they're not defusing. They'll buy this time just a little bit further.
Omen versus MiniBoo.
In fact, the clock here could prove to be the biggest enemy to the side of Heretics as they start this defuse yet again. The swing is in, but the shots don't land. FPX punish this time, and it's Heretics to push to third team. Rienz with a phenomenal round. That shock dart was perfect.
They're going to be calling for agent bans. That's what they're going to be looking at. It's like, guys, I've had enough of map vetoes. I want agent vetoes just so I can get this man off a damn server. Bear in mind, last time they played this map, he wasn't playing Sova. He was playing Breach. So that's something they've brought in for the game today. And it has been disgustingly good. Whether it's reveals, as said, or shot darts. Okay, maybe a hit or miss with the Hunter's Fury, but I don't think they're going to mind too much. Well, you could understand the elation from Gen.G. They got another opportunity. They've already had 3 of them to close out this map. And FPX, well, they got an extra pause. They're using it.
Now's not the time to let this one slip. With that a little bit of extra brain juice expended. Team Heretics, they've got to be feeling fantastic. I will just quickly note that Boo currently has it. I don't think he's
support
going to commit to that, but side, they might have post-plan
FPX barabar aati hai. FPX 35% vote.
On B side. It could be nasty.
So there is
12-12. They are playing very good. Rienz akele carry kar raha hai. Dekha jaye to TH ko. So they have more chance of losing. Okay.
If he is pulling this in, I would be very surprised.
Vote करो, like करके भी जाना. 17 votes, 12 like. ये कोई बात है? ये कोई बात है? 17 जने जब vote कर रहे हैं, 12 like क्यों कर रहे हैं?
The things that were written in chat, I'm pretty sure some people got banned, but it's good fun, and I think pulling it out at a time like this will be unexpected for FPX as well. Like
they haven't used it at all.
The only thing I'll say is that FPX have been tremendously cautious about trap wires. I saw it on the A site retake. I've seen it a couple of times where they're going into a site and they're looking everywhere to find those traps. If they make the mistake of not clearing them this time, they will be punished quite heavily.
But also, he just knows his lineup for the post plant. So the traps might not even be an issue, really. It's just going to be if they can get into a post plant, which, hey, if you're running a Gecko, I feel like you should be able to do that, and they have been able to do that. Already in position, ready with his lineups, just to try and be an absolute rat at the back of the site. And while this is maybe the scariest post plant FPX are going to ever have to face into.
Side free दे रहे हैं. Fight करो यार, side पे 4-5 लड़के खेलो side पर. डरते काहे हो?
You see the stars down on the
ठीक है, तुम में Molly है, extra pull है, shock dart का lineups हैं. GenG mid में लड़क देख रहा है दो.
But this time they're not checking it in time. Luckily, Lysor reacts, finds the kill. The defuse started, at least that's as far as Heretics know.
But
some kills come through, though they reclaim the space. The Odin takes Lysor. The drop from Berlin is good. Able to at least find the one, and Rienz is incredibly low. Boo's caught up top. That's a big mistake. All he has to do now is root out Rienz and deal with Wu, but that's a big task halfway when Rienz swings in to close it out. 14-12.
Heretics
They push them to the limit, but Team Heretics take it across the line.
Incredible
they played
performance from them in the end.
Fantastic.
It was a back and forth all the way through a map that
Bind Heretics का बहुत अच्छा है. Yeah, best इनका pick था. Bind is like home ground of Heretics. 7 मैच में 1 हारे हैं, वो भी overtime में.
Still more to come. Bind up next after the break.
Guys, vote करो. Let's see कौन जीता है. तो इस मैच का था overall 3 मैच सीरीज का बताओ कौन जीतेगा. बताओ कौन जीतेगा. फिर लाइट गई. एक सेकंड आ गई. बारिश बहुत पड़ रही है. क्या लगता है GE
Welcome back everyone to
GE
VALORANT
कभी
Champions Tour as we just saw
ऐसे लेवल पे
Heretics
क्वालिफाई
take
कर
a
पाएगी
miss
एंड कर
from
पाएगी फॉर श्योर कर
FPX,
सकती
which
है
was
आई एम नॉट
FPX's
डिनाइंग द
pick in a map.
एबिलिटी
We
बट क्या
praised
चेंजेस चाहिए
FPX
होंगे
for
उन्हें
playing
व्हाट
in a
डू यू
very
थिंक
fun and unique way.
एज
But
एन इंडियन
today
और
in
क्या
OT,
चेंजेस
it
चाहिए
belonged
होंगे
to
उन्हें
Heretics and Paperton. I know
बिकॉज
that there's
हेरिटिक्स
you know, a lot
अच्छी
of
अच्छी टीम है
conversation
बट
about what
ऑल
are
ऑफ
the
अ
win
सडन
conditions
दे
here
ब्लू
for
आउट
FPX.
दो
This
हारे ही नहीं
Abyss
थे
map was one of
ठीक है ना
those for the
सो
series. If they
नाउ यू
wanted
सी
to have like a give
G2
themselves
played
a
very
bit
good
of a
100
leg up in
Thieves
this one,
played
Abyss
very
was
good
something they needed to pull
so
through.
Yeah, I totally
what
agree.
do you
It really
think
does
they
feel
need
like this was a must-win map for them, and it looked pretty good coming into half. 8-4, you're like,
It looked
okay,
great.
yeah, they've got this. They started to really roll some rounds together there. They got a good read on Heretics' defender side and how they want to play it, but then Heretics come into their attacker side, and they look like fire. They have great ideas with this Sova, some great timings with the recon, some great shock darts. Rian's just some phenomenal shooting as well.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like, they were able to flip the script, and with a different comp that kind of caught a lot of us off, off guard for Team Heretics, it ended up getting them over the line.
Yeah, I mean, Woot in particular was absolutely excellent in this first map of the series. He had a couple moments where I think he wasn't quite the superstar he was at Shanghai playing in EMEA, but he's immediately back in global event form here, showing up and winning some crucial rounds, because quite honestly, I thought that was going to slip away for Team Heretics. They had a big advantage that they started to build in that second half. I think in particular brought on by some great mid-rounding from Boo. They were always getting themselves into these post-plant positions, and the post-plant protocols were really, really excellent there.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, you can see there as well. You'd mentioned briefly Paperton Rians, and I mean, guy popped off that game as well. So when you have that supporting cast, you know, stepping up in such a capacity like that, it's going to make it very difficult for FPX to be able to walk away with a dub out of this one. But another kind of talking point here was MiniBoo on the jet. Not something you see him do all that often, which is odd to say considering, you know, he's a duelist, but he's been playing so much Neon lately. But you definitely saw him kind of just get neutralized a few of those rounds. Didn't really feel like he had much of the impact, which goes to show why this Heretics team is such a, you know, dynamic roster, because anyone can step up and pop off for this team.
For sure. I was a little bit surprised by the roster change that the comp change we saw coming out from this team. I thought that the Raze especially was really strong. I kind of got bringing in the Sova instead of the Breach there, having that information, some of the ideas they had around the shock darts, especially in their post plant, I thought were really solid. But again, the jet from MiniBoo just does not look as comfortable as his other roles, and I think it did show in that game. But luckily, this is a team with a lot of depth in players that can step up in the late rounds to keep them in these games, and they don't just have to rely on one guy to be that superstar.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more with that one there. But of course, it's time for our HyperX Reflex
But Heretics vote went
show you a little
71%.
ace. You know which one? Round 16 from
ठीक है, I
Iron
know.
Fist is gonna
Heretics
be,
जीतेगी.
Of course. Oh, I mean, just that first pop there, and the wall goes down, and it's like just an aim lab routine.
And it's all Guardian too.
Yeah, it
it's
really
unreal.
Is. Yeah, absolutely awesome stuff there. Unfortunately, FPX weren't able to pull through, but it took, you know, Heretics squad climbing their way back and then pulling it out in OT. Tough one for sure for FPX to lose.
They really had to claw back for sure, did Heretics. I mean, it felt like to me all of a sudden I was like, okay, you've got to read now here on how some of these Astra maneuvers are going to occur, what the Jet's trying to do, you know, where the lurks are going to be coming from Gen.G Fishy. Those were actually really well accounted for by FPX. However, when it came to some of their like decision-making and retakes and things like that, they just weren't quite up to snuff. They weren't quite at the same level. Heretics do a great job setting up the post plant. The Astra is really annoying as well. We saw that come into play a couple times. So all those things kind of put together just made it really hard for FPX to come away with some wins on their defender side.
Yeah, I felt like on the defensive side, a lot of these rounds, FPX site anchors were dying way too early into things, and then when FPX was trying to play the flood retakes, it ended up being more of kind of like a stumble, one player at a time, back into the site. Or when they did go for the set retakes, the post plants were just too strong. I mean, this is the new Pearl, the new cringe post plant map. We saw it in that second half, and quite frankly, your defensive side cannot be letting that spike come down every single time and play into the set retakes, especially when you're playing up against a team like Team Heretics. And now, I think this kind of booms the chances for FPX in this series. They looked great on Abyss in China. I think it was their best map regionally, and now they're going into a strength for Team Heretics, and this series gets really scary if you're rooting for an FPX upset.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, Bind's been great for Heretics. And we knew that this FPX needed this Abyss. It would put them in such a better position. So now they're gonna have to do what Heretics did to them on map 1 and try and claw their way back into this series overall. But let's go ahead and hear from the coach of FPX, see what he has to say going into map 2.
Hey guys, we have Nathan D here from FPX and we have Luna to help out with some translation. That was a very exciting map on Abyss. We're just curious, you know, you guys were able to bring it to an overtime, but why weren't you able to close it out? Can you enlighten us as to what the struggles the players were going through?
其实刚刚是非常激烈的图1的比赛嘛，你们能够成功的拖入到加10，但是并没有成功能够拿下，能不能告诉我们是什么阻碍了你们的脚步呢？
我们下半场的防守可能一些补枪细节没有做好，我们补枪没有做好，加上我们的防 rush 的一些细节没有做好，就导致了我们下半场根本守不住他们。
At the second half, we are on defense. We did terribly on trade, and we didn't like to defend it well. So that might be happened. Explained what happened on the second half.
Well, there's still one map left, so let's see if FPX can manage to make a comeback.
And it seems like FPX identifying those issues. I mean, of course, you know, a tough one for sure, but now they got to reset themselves, get ready for this bind. It's going to be a tall task without a doubt, considering how good Heretics are on this. And I mean, quite frankly, Paper Thin, if you're FPX in this situation, do you go for a bit more of this wackiness? Do you try and be a bit more off the cuff, if you will? Or, well, I mean, what do you do in this case, right? How do you catch this Heretics team off guard? How do you make them uncomfortable going into map 2?
For me, I think I'd like to see a different comp than what FPX normally runs on Bind. They normally run the Jet Sova, almost exactly the same comp that we just saw from Heretics, actually, except they use a Brim as their smoke. So I'd like to see something different. Raze, yes, I think is borderline necessary on Bind. So I know, and that's what's weird to me, is Life is really good at Raze. He's actually got better stats in stage 2 on Raze than he does on Jet, but they've been leaning into Jet.
Whoa!
That is very new.
Oh my God, what?
What the hell?
I mean, there's a reason people left the Jet in 2021. I don't know where this comp has come from, though. There are some interesting ideas to look out for. First thing I'm seeing, watch how Life and Ion are going to combo their utility. The audio denial from that Fade and the Haunts combined with the flashes from the Yoru can give a lot of different ideas to set Life up for success. But that Chamber, I think, is the big question mark. Also, we're not playing a Brim, we're playing Omen. This is weird. The one-ways, though, are cool with the Omen. We've seen teams like EG experiment with ideas like that.
Yeah.
There's so much to
But I think, but like also too, like, you know, I think about their attack. They have barely any post-plant stall or nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like they just got the Viper. And
One
that's
Viper molly.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
They're going to have to fight. They're just going to have to scrap. That's all this is.
But
this
that's
is
what
a scrap.
they want to do.
Yeah, for sure,
sure. You know what? That is a good call. It seems like FPX wants to get down and dirty in the mud. Speaking of two guys who like to get down and dirty in the mud, let's go ahead and send it over to your casters. Here's Mitch and Tom. Go ahead, tell everyone how you like the mud.
Only with you, GB. Only with you. But yeah, I think this is one of those things. A wise man once said that this is an FPS game and you just need to shoot people in the face. So who cares about post-plant utility? You don't need any of that. They've got a little bit, but ultimately they're going for the shoot them in the face. And I like it because do I think they would win with their previous composition? No, I think this would be a map that would go the way of Heretics. So pull something out of the bag, go for an aggressive composition, try and use that individual skill. Autumn is someone who, hey, he can pull out a Clove, drop 25 kills, so let's give him a chance over with the Chamber, and there you go. Pick and out.
A nice start for that defensive side. A little bit of aggression going down on A as well. I'll try to get some control, push up behind them early on. Team Heretics, well, they could be funneled into just one angle, but there's always the potential to take that teleporter and bring it to the other direction. And looking for the flanks as well. It's Boo creeping his way back. He's turned at just the wrong moment, but corrects in time. Life down, and now Woot's clearing out that angle. They found the second and sent him straight into Boo and straight to the Shadow Realm. 4 versus 3 with FPX now looking to pick up the pieces, but the position from Berlin could be everything. He's got 2, and that's the spike with him.
This is such an absurd round. You'd think the defense are on the attack the way that they're pushing. And why are you going to expect the third player to be pushed up? The thing is, he's alone.
hiding in his own smoke. And well, he gives a little angle over to Woot. Woot's going to land the shot. And look where the remaining defenders now are. They're kind of ready for this.
I have the spike.
Yeah, they've rotated in just in
30
time.
seconds left.
Lysor stuck in the corner. Off bat, he's waiting for the walk through, and it's going to be Woot rounding to take the fight, but the shot is delivered straight to the cranium. Only Autumn. One shot left in the golden gun. It's his ghost that's creeping up close and finding them on the spams. The silencer lending a hand, and round the side he goes for the triple kill and the Red Bull clutch to kick off Bind.
Oh, I'd love to see an analytical breakdown of this round, because I think someone out there, maybe Steel, would have an aneurysm. It's one of the most aggressive pistols I've ever seen. You had two players making a push directly into mid. You had another that took complete showers control, which ended up winning them the round. And then you have this to start it off, where just the patience from Autumn, and he's the one that clutches out as well. If he goes down there, this round is lost. But that's what FPX need to do. They need to be disruptive, they need to be crazy. And they need to almost push Heretics off their game, because Heretics are very happy to sit back and be passive. Well, they're not going to be allowed to do that.
No, they're not. Of course, it's the Outlaw that picks up that opening. A strong weapon, by all accounts. And IYoung...
He couldn't have done that with a Marshal against unarmored players.
Nope, not possible, Tom.
No.
You know, he wouldn't have had the confidence, and that's what it's all about, just in case they bought shields.
In the last round.
Yeah, you know, very shy player, I think it's fair to say. But no, for FPX...
Yeah, Australians are known for being very shy and timid.
Yeah, right? Reserved, quiet. Yeah, that's...
just like Mac, mate. He's incredibly shy.
Quiet bloke. Yeah, you'd miss him in a room, a quiet room. Well, FPX, they found themselves a strong advantage to play with. Heretics have next to nothing to work with, and even the Ghost is doing work.
Oh, yeah. This is just a chance for, well, I was gonna say IYoung to farm, but actually Life stole that last kill away. A great start for FPX. Bear in mind, the last map was incredibly close. They lost both pistols, so they were in a rough spot pretty much from the beginning of both. Being able to get off to a great start here. That Outlaw carried through, a Judge for Berlin as well. But this is where the rifles come up. Heretics pretty much always win their attack. Even in matches they lose. When they lost to Vitality, they won their attack. 7-5, 7-3, 7-3, 7-3, 10-2. Like, they are very good at this side of the map. So if FPX can disrupt them enough, well, I'll be interested to see this comp on the attack, but even still, I think they're planning to try and disrupt this attack side. Wow. Rian's kind of clean today.
Not a bad start, that's for sure. And IYoung not going to last much longer either. They've avoided going into Berlin's awaiting arms, and now they've spotted him too.
He's going to let it hit him. He doesn't want to shoot the Judge.
No, and actually it might just work. Now they think there could be a rifle in there. Let's see what we've got. What's behind door number 1? It's a Judge, and now it's time to leave that guy alone. You can have all the space you want in lamps, but you gotta get to the site to defuse, and that's where the difficulty spawns. Paranoia used to try to keep them back. Again, Rians can see clear as day. The orb gonna block him out. Flash goes up top. Benji's around the back, inside the smoke, waiting for them to emerge, and he's caught himself a double, almost a third, but Rians gets ahead of him, and a clean round from those two. That is 2-1 with Heretics on the board, but that's the round we expect FPX to lose as well.
I also don't think you could expect Gen.G to be there because of the fact that they are actually throwing util into the smoke. So you're sat there going, okay, well, if they're going to put Molotovs on this, why would there be a dude just sat in there? And there was. But just clean openers. And again, we're going to highlight MiniBoo because he had a rough first map, but if this guy comes online, I do think it's over, because everybody else, we've seen them thriving. I think Rian's especially, Woot was great in the first map. This is where things get maybe even more exciting, as he's upgraded and now has an operator.
Yes, no shields, you'll notice. This is a glass cannon attempt to get aggressive early on, has the TP to fall back on. Getting a little greedy, going around the corners, and there's Boo waiting for him with the iPad out. Wasn't quite expecting that aggressive of a peek, and now the punish is being delivered.
Sorry guys, I didn't expect him to swing all the way down mid without checking one side. Sorry, I wasn't aware of it. They're going to try and immediately pivot to the other side of the map, but look who's there again. Autumn playing this rotational operator, and he's got Life alongside him. A lot of support, and now 2 men down.
The dominoes have started to topple at this point for FPX. Everything is working out. Another pick, as Rian's comes out of the smoke, and the rest of the squad still sat up in hookah. Now they fall back, looking to take it the other direction, and perhaps they'll have a 2v2 on offer. You have some aggression.
Yeah, it's just where it is, though. This is a filthy crossfire. I think they're just going to save, though. This is just holding on to guns. Yeah, I was about to say, if they go all the way around, they're geniuses, but at this stage, the economy will be good enough if they hold on to these guns, make sure Boo gets another one in the next round, so it's going to be an immediate response from FPX, and as said, like, what they're currently doing, so ridiculously disruptive. Like, again, you have to be wary wherever you go. The Autumn could have peeked mid, TP back, immediately rotated to the other side of the map, and could be facing you there as well. And that's exactly what happened in this round. He becomes even just a distraction in the late game because you're focusing on that operator. And then, do you think Life's going to hide? No, Life's going to swing. And well, Berlin is looking to even remove the guns, but eventually they will be allowed to save, and for Heretics, pretty important.
Yeah, based on what I've seen even just in this series, Tom, I don't think Life's going to hide. This guy is, he's unhinged to say the least, and I think you can say the same for Autumn at mid-push. You know, the idea makes sense. If there's a player on the left, they'll have to swing out wide. So it's a timing, it's a risk you're taking. But the fact that you have that TP, if things go wrong, they miss a shot, you're already out of there.
That's what this comp is. It's a risk. It is a bunch of risks. But that's the thing. As I said, I think if you try and play regular, to the book, standard Valorant, beating them on this map is incredibly difficult. Already, Thrash going to be utilized and straight through the TP, but they're met with Gen.G. 3 disrupted. And wow, swings and roundabouts. Sometimes the aggression works, sometimes you get triple sprayed down.
Yeah. The fact that these players turn so quickly, the door's open, and, well, they seem to close on the round, at least, with FPX having an operator, Lysor. I'm not sure that they're going to want to commit these weapons to it. You look at FPX, post-plant utility doesn't really exist, barring the Snakebite, but for Team Heretics, that's not quite the case. They've got their Snakebite, they've got their Molly, they've got Rien's, and I think they know the Mosh Pit was already used, but even the Flash to re-execute out for a fight. The Seize as well from Woot. It's not one that I'd expect a big commitment from, especially with now they've cleared the site. They've seen that it's most likely post-plant setups. These weapons may just be more valuable carried through for future rounds, although, I mean, Lysor is very aggressive. He wants to make it costly for Heretics and at least drop a few bodies. As he fails, Autumn's out.
Yeah, I think Autumn always had the plan, unless his teammate got a couple of kills to just fade away. Everything else they can repurchase. So it's not the end of the world. Heretics do well to weather the storm this time. And again, it's another round where contact is made towards Hookah. The response from FPX is to 3-man TP, which is a bit mental. And well, I saw all the assists come through, and I was like, how has Boo got 3 assists? That is a Stimbeacon triple assist.
Very good feel.
It's not something you're going to see every single day. And while Gen.G does incredibly well in that scenario. Again, though, the only thing that would worry me for FPX, honestly, is if they start shying away. Because this comp, if you play passive, sucks.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is not a passive comp. And that's the problem. If things don't work out, that's often going to be what you do, is switch it up, change your pace. We saw that in the last round. Now Autumn being dropped is traded out for life. Got an aggressive out on B long, at least keeping a foothold for this site that isn't just deep. Yeah, I was kind of expecting him to fall back at this point, at least maintain the control. But this guy, I should have learned my lesson. I thought I did earlier. He always keeps going. He's going back out. No, he's not.
He's thinking about it. He's going to get revealed.
Okay, he's back.
He has his ult as well, though. So there's always a chance to double dip, especially with space being taken now. You know, yeah, every angle's being checked before they attempt anything. Aggressive control into the showers means that they don't really have to worry too much about the TP. It's a position that they've already been caught once with Berlin, but Ayung's now on spot. Lysor trying to just see if he can get any information, because at least then he'd be able to slow them down.
30 seconds left.
Well, the Seize hasn't quite caught in the flash on left, and even caught Life, I think. They want to try to back out, but Mollies are covering them. Orbital Strike comes in, sectioned off by Team Heretics, put in a box. Life at least able to find a wide. How is that correction landed? At least Gen.G falls. Life's work is not for nothing. In fact, it seems like the advantage will be converted into a round win for FPX. 4-2. And I honestly, watching Life play this game is just perplexing. I don't know how he's getting away with so much in these aggressive positions.
Again, it's something that we're looking at from a side where we can see everything. Just imagine what it's like from Heretics' point of view, where a guy just goes blasting straight through the smoke, taking insanely aggressive fights, and again, he's the reason they win the round. Like, he is fully the reason. Like, the re-aggression to start with, to put things back even after Autumn goes down, it's the second prong. Like, you're not expecting someone to go running out, but it's just this shot onto Boo, which I feel like it has been Boo just on the wrong end of a lot of that, and then Ayang actually catching someone off the back of his own utility as well. So 4-2. Defensive side starting to build a lead, and I like the fact that Heretics are taking a very early pause here.
The best part is when Ayung threw that reveal, there was probably the thought that if Life can just hold on a second, it'll help him get a kill, and instead he just runs through the smoke and takes 2 blind. So, you know, when you've got a player like that, I mean, you know, you got to let him off the leash, and that's certainly what they're doing on FPX. Remember, one of the main factors of success for this side so far has been Autumn, able to find those early picks. This round started out with Heretics picking him, taking him down, but the response was immediate from Life on B long. He got aggressive, they didn't punish that, and then they lived to regret it.
Yeah, I think, again, a lot of what Heretics, similarly in the last map, like, they're going to have prepped for Abyss because they knew what was coming. They knew that it was likely to be picked by FPX. They knew that they play this aggressive game. If they prep for this, they have somehow snuck into their opponent's scrims, because I don't think there's a way you could have seen this coming. And that's why I think taking an early pause, giving Neilzinho an opportunity to sort of go, okay, they're trying to push everything. I thought for the most part they were going to try and double up, but I guess the idea is maybe for MiniBoo just to try and sell some info. Yeah, and he's not looking to fight anything. He knows there's going to be aggressive plays.
Remember, we had it in the last round as well, but no chance to use it in the chaos. MiniBoo's got the showstopper ready to work with, but Autumn picked off in the last round. He'll take 2 first bloods in this one to make up for it. That is a devastating start. And now that showstopper, that's just an afterthought. Walking through the Viper utility. Oh, the timing. The judge still comes back for 1. And well, a 5 versus 1 emerges. Good luck and condolences for the round to Benji Fishy.
Oh, it's going to have to be an insane 1v5. They know exactly where he is. Pop flashes and, well, we talk about how aggressive this team can be, but both players falling back. They want to try and group back up with Autumn, and like, he's not falling back. But honestly, with what he's done in this round so far, I can't really blame him. A collapse to start off the round. The aggression that this man is pulling out, well, I'd say it's about 90-odd% successful.
Yep, and the worst part about it is you're seeing him just with global control. At the start of the round, you might as well roll a dice to figure out where the hell he's going to be. Peeking out, whether it's in hookah, whether it's on long. Now we're probably going to see B long. I mean, there's nowhere that you can feel safe, and they did the best thing they could, double swing in the angle. I think at this point, Heretics have got to just, if you're going to peek, Dizzy has to go round first. Otherwise, you're dead. Prowler, something has to reveal that, or you're risking 2 players dying to 1 bullet.
That's the thing. They do have the utility to be able to clear out an operator. Like, you've got yourself a Fade and a Gecko. And you've got a Boombot. Like, I think this round they did, or the last round, sorry, they put the Boombot through to try and catch him pushing B mid. But it didn't matter. He wasn't there. And then they weren't prepared to try and fight him over on that A site. MiniBoo still has his ultimate for this round, but you look at what's on offer. I don't know if they'll want to use it, especially with where Berlin is again. We talk about that operator. I think the judge is just as scary.
Especially in Berlin's hands with what we saw previously, and when you've got the Viper util decaying you down. Here he is with a chance, but Woot's the one to shut him out. Now an opportunity for Heretics, even with the weaker weapons, if they can keep these trades up, and they're doing exactly that. 3 versus 2, and some weapons to be recovered with a plant coming in now. And Wingman online for the late round. Autumn's on the flank, the long way around with Lysor inside that smoke in spawn. It's going to be a tough split. They have to win their individual fights.
Is he going to get revealed? I don't think he was. The wingman didn't quite reach. Boo has gone looking, but hasn't seen anything back towards long. If he goes to swing this again, he's going to be met with either a headhunter or an operator. In fact, he might not even check. It's going to be a free kill, but they've already managed to clear out Lysor. Around looking all but over, as him getting into some of these closer range positions is going to be impossible, and Rian's even there to close it out once again. A low purchase and a victory alongside it for Heretics, as they will get their third onto the board.
Yeah, a good start from Wood as well. The fact that he picks off Berlin before the damage can be done, I think he would have had a relatively easy time finding the first, and then, well, you're running through a Viper or close range against a Judge. It's not going to be a very pretty scenario, but the reveal up top was timed perfectly to at least land them that opening. From there, the round cascades with the trades. FPX, though, it's a little more than a bump in the road. 4 ultimates online, rifles still there with credits for the next. They have a chance to continue this fight.
Actually have a 3-man setup ready and waiting, immediately getting rid of the thrash, and life just keeps going. 2 kills already. Boo tagged up a bit, but he's lost some health himself. Not going to overface this. I feel like they were so ready for them to try and use the thrash. They literally put a firing squad to deny it, and then took 2 kills.
Well, that's it. As soon as the thrash is used, you know they're all going to be funneling through that choke point. But life, time and time again, just surprising us with the individual skill. Berlin dropped in life low, but the trade is quick from Young. It's been so clean on these ranged fights, with Heretics sent back the other direction, moving towards bathroom 2 versus 4. And again,
look at the push-up as well. Like, they don't have to worry about B just because of where Autumn is. Like, he's so far up at this stage that unless they're going to go through the spawn, and even still, if they don't step or hear them, Young perfectly placed, but loses the battle. Still, though, it allows 2 players to be here, but you have to bear in mind how low life currently is.
Autumn spot allowed him to keep B long control now, though he's abandoned that trap to move for the flank. Lysor does well, landing that one, but Benji's got some fight left in him. 50 HP, and the shot through the box.
I think he saw his leg.
Saw the leg.
He must have seen
it
his
wasn't
leg.
A game of battleships, no. He had a radar this time. 6-3, though. FPX find the round in extraordinary fashion.
Yeah, it always seems to come down to these late round clutch scenarios, but hey, you put Autumn in those positions and he's going to win it. I think good work as well from Gen.G to at least make this one look competitive, because I feel like all the way through they had so much space, so much of the read on that defensive side, but yeah, from Gen.G's POV, it looked crazy. From his POV, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
I'd be more surprised if he missed.
I'd be surprised if he misses any of his shots from what I've seen so far. Even the collapse landing. Autumn's been very impressive. This chamber's working out. The disruptive play has put Heretics on the back foot a number of times. This time, Lurk sent out by Gen.G towards A. Pressure applied on B. They'll claim the orb and look for some space. Weaker weapons in part. Woot on a classic. Sheriff's in play for Boo and Gen.G. It's the rifles on MiniBoo and Rian's that have to do the heavy lifting, and instead... Oh, okay. There's one huge shot. It's remarkable. Now, if anyone peeks him here, I'm not sure they'll be quite as lucky.
It is got to be a little bit more careful. No get out of jail free card this time. I think he was a bit lucky that the player he faced off against was the player that only had a classic. Otherwise, that could have got dangerous. Again, still no escape, and while he is going to be connected on by every single PC utility, MiniBoo has managed to catch one, but there is an immediate swing and counter. It was an ult or 2 invested by the side of Heretics, but you wouldn't think it.
No, you really wouldn't. I mean, the decay that came in, though, from, I believe it was Young dropping the Nightfall.
Yeah.
Putting them in a position where everyone was low up. MiniBoo.
It was both.
Yeah, but MiniBoo and Co were down to like 1 HP, and you saw everyone on the side of FPX just spraying at the bodies here. Nice and easy. It was 1 bullet to take him down, 1 for the player in the smoke, and then a headshot for Woot. Didn't quite matter either way. 7-3. A big lead now in the books for FPX, and the half isn't over yet.
As said, that every single time we've seen them play, even going back to G2 at Masters, they won their attack. They are not winning their attack, so they've already broken what has been a running streak for the side of Heretics. Finally, they've managed to shut out Autumn, but he's not alone. There are more players there, one lurking within Poison Orb, but it's only going to be the 1-for-1. Berlin, he's revealed his position as well. And although there is a player looking to come in from behind, Heretics this time are going to get the afterplant with an advantage.
Ooh, style points for that one. Nice clear with the trade potential. Yeah, Heretics advantage to play with. Got it locked in. But last time that we saw Autumn picked off, it was Life to step up for a massive round. We'll see if it's going to be the same here. The flash to support the initial push through. He's gone around the long way, fighting it for control over Lamps, and he's found it. At least to begin, things are going well. No flashes left, though. Leaves the dry peaks in Berlin with a 1 versus 2 after his initial. Already starting to defuse, looking to get it half, but Molly comes in. Smoke soon to fade as well. He's peeking out on the side of it, but they know he's not defusing. And there's no need for them to swing, although Rienz obliges eventually. There's another round on the board for the attacking side. No matter what, they won't be keeping their streak of winning their attack, but there's at least a chance to make it close.
Yeah, and there are definitely arguments that like running a chamber is going to be a lot easier on that defense. We'll see how it's utilized by Autumn in the next half, but I do think it's important for Heretics to get this final round, otherwise a pistol could put them in a pretty awkward spot going into the next half. I really like the post plants though from Heretics. Once they're able to get there, they've looked really good. Like they're able to have the really late mollies coming in from Boo, just happy to sit back while everybody else is disruptive. The problem though has been getting there. And well, they have a showstopper and then a Viper's Pit, so if they do get there, I think it could be ropes for FPX.
Yeah, it'll be very tough to get back into a site like that with a pit down, and it might be tough to keep them out with the showstopper. Boo bypass that utility, and the Seas has actually caught Young. He could be in a lot of trouble here with MiniBoo going up and over. The shot doesn't land from the showstopper, nor does it from the rifle. Young still kicking on the site, moving back to clear. Boo, who luckily wins the fight. Some breath still for Team Heretics, and the flash in. Life is going for another big play, but only the one to be found.
That keeps things even. Plant yet to happen, so you can see the doubt. Autumn's actually going to go back towards the B site. Still has his trap available, so he knows that they haven't made it towards Hookah just yet. And actually, just this patience from the side of Heretics has at least made the defense slightly weaker.
It's thinned out the numbers for sure, but Berlin's not looking weak. What a shot! With Boo down, the spike retrieved. Rienz is going to try to get this one planted. No wingman, though. He has to do it himself. And the TP out. Beautiful from Berlin. Even as the ultimate to use just to cause that little bit of paranoia for Rienz. And in fact, the ult is used straight towards the spawn. So now Rienz has no idea where this opponent could be. And Autumn's a mystery as well. Does manage to get the plant down in the chaos, though. Not deterred, but shot in the head from up in heaven. Berlin caught him jumping over the box. That's 8 rounds locked in at halftime.
Slow it down. I want to see that shot again. That was just disgusting from Berlin. A fantastic round from him individually and a fantastic half from FPX. As said, even if like when Vitality were able to beat Heretics on this map, it came down to a poorer defense for the side of Heretics. They were not able to beat them on their attack. Well, that's exactly what FPX have done. They've managed to quell them, and wow, thank you for the replay. Absolutely gorgeous stuff.
Well, Tom,
okay, good.
That's our first half, 8-4 for FPX. Now, it's time to give them a little break between the half. We're about to jump off, but we'll be back with half number 2 very soon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
When we left you, Team Heretics struggling on the attack side, which is a rare sight for us, but they're 1 map up. All they've got to do is recover this on the defense, Tom. But this composition from FPX, yes, we'll talk about the chamber defensively and how strong it can be. We saw it, right? Autumn's opening picks from posting up and TPing out. It will be harder to make that work here on the attack.
For sure, but I think that's where you're now going to look to players like Life to sort of, well, I don't want to say pick up the slack like he was performing badly. He was very, very good at the first. But that's where you kind of looked at him. And as I said, for Heretics, this probably has been their weaker of the 2 sides. So it's also going to be their own fundamentals. Can they turn this back? I think with both Woot and MiniBoo being a little bit quieter, looking for a bit more from Rienz after his first map performance, a pistol definitely wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, you know, it's not even that they're being quiet, it's that their opponents are being so loud. They're just drowning them out. Like, so many of these fights, they just can't get anything done in because, to be honest, it's tough to play against FPX. From what I'm seeing here, this is just a chaotic squad that will put you on the back foot. They're doing something you're not used to. And while those adjustments have to be made on the fly, Heretics, 4 rounds on the board. This pistol carries a fair bit of weight for them. If it goes to FPX, they're going to struggle to get back into this half, and we may be going all the way to Lotus.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about unorthodox playstyles, Lotus with a triple
GenG skin अच्छी है रे team Heretics की.
something
Blue color, darkish blue.
maybe, I guess Heretics, I think, have played it before, so they might be prepared for it, but that doesn't make it any easier. Here we go, though. Execution into the site. A couple of players ready and waiting. It looks like there's going to be an attempt from Woot to maybe try and deny the plant. He's around the edge, but unfortunately the Haunt doesn't find anything.
Are they thinking about, yeah, they're TPing, they're going back. Autumn was left lurking outside B, heard the rotations. There's one player up close, Gen.G, but he's tagged down to 24. A flash on backside could get him out of dodge, but Berlin's already on him. The push from Rienz, it was at least covered for a moment by the Viper wall, but now he's all alone, doing the damage, and at least dropping a few, giving Woot a chance. Lysor shuts him down, and Boo has somehow allowed Life to thread the needle. Unbeknownst to him, Boo's right behind him. This is a pantomime with a free kill, although it came a little close. Just the 1v1 left with Lysor's position unknown.
Oh, he's right above as well. Just looking for that fight
We're
for the
going to
fourth.
3 boys.
A fantastic pistol round from him, and as said, it would have been a welcome gift for the side of Heretics to be able to take that over the line. Again, though, you just see these rounds where they go for these late rotations. I love the thought process of FPX. Is like, you think you know what we're doing. You think after we shoot your Haunt deep within the site, we throw our utility in, you think that you're in our heads, and in fact, the quick switch up, Gen.G left in no man's land, and sure, again, Rienz, he did what he could. It was bullets that held him back. It's not enough.
No, it wasn't. That pistol going the other way now for Heretics is tough. They're 9-4 down on this map, one that we hailed as somewhere they should be able to take it across the line. We said that FPX need to win the first map because surely they can't take it in the last 2, but here we are. Rienz dropped to start this one off, and it's only pistols for Heretics. No big investment. They're saving their cash for the next, but a 10-4 lead. If that's where we end up with potential economic benefits there for the attackers as well, this will be a very tough position to climb back from. And the way they're pushing and pulling so far, pistol was fantastic, and look what they've done here. Fake on A, move back to B, and then rotate back to the A side. It's wide open.
As you said, though, like looking at this map on paper, like this was a map that, okay, they lost the last time, 14-12 in overtime to Vitality, a team that needed to win to qualify for Champions, whereas Heretics were basically already qualified because of the points that they have. So, and we were talking about burnout and all these excuses. We had so many different things when it came to Heretics as to why they didn't win that match. Maybe, in many cases, not giving Vitality the credit they deserve. Even still, that was a 14-12 loss. Right now, FPX, you remove all of those excuses from Heretics. They got a bit of a break. Okay, I'm not going to pretend like it's a massive one, but the same break that FPX got. And right now, on Bind, they are putting themselves into a considerable lead. 10-4, guaranteed. There's nothing that can be done in this round. The only thing will be whether or not there's any orbs or any cost, and of course for Ion, he only has a pistol. Even going down isn't that much of a problem. He wants the extra orbs to try and get closer to his ult. Gen.G will take exactly the same thing, and the rest of the team, the ones with weaponry, are just going to fade out of there, and everyone else dying to the spike.
13-6.
10-4. The scoreline we expected. A strong position from FPX with so many weapons saved over. And for Team Heretics, this needs to be a flawless climb.
The score we expected after 9-4.
Well, yeah, not at the start. I'm casting it back to...
What script are you reading
You know,
from?
when I saw Bind, Tom, remember I said to you backstage, 10-4 FPX, I can see it happening. I don't know anything that's going to happen after that. But 10-4, I'm certain. Now, for FPX, yeah, they're expected to win that last round. Is that better?
Okay, yeah.
And then they've got their economy built up as a result of these weapons being saved. Sure, there's some weaknesses. You've got a Guardian, which has not been a weakness if it's in Young's hands, and then Berlin on a Spectre. But for the most part, they're able to go blow for blow with Heretics in this round. And if Heretics don't find this, well, they're going to have to start drafting up that anti-triple controller setup.
Yeah, I hope they already had it drafted, because I think they played them on it before.
Or we'll have questions about Nielzinho's nomination.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, well deserved. His coach in EMEA has been fantastic throughout the year, but it's safe to say that this matchup, even last time they played, as I said, they won
17-15 to beat this squad. Ended up making a run to the final and played the other team who beat FPX. I think they've been, as said, clinically underrated. And once again, are showing why this is a team to fear in the group of death. For now, though, 35 seconds coming up on the clock. Pressure going to be put on to Gen.G, but he has support, or had support. Now it's all on him, but the flashes are just leaving him in a position to fight. Rians is doing an amazing job on the backside again.
Reigns again coming back to the clutch.
After the first kills as well, Snakebite
Solo
went down.
carrying
Berlin
Heretics.
swings in, thinking his teammates are with them, but they've got to wait just a little moment. 10-5, locked in. In that round, an essential victory
So
for the side of Heretics.
Heretics.
Like I said, I mean, I don't find that to be a massively weak round for
votes
FPX. They certainly
or
still
give
have
more
a lot
votes
of
to FPX.
weapons to work with,
I
a lot
wanna
of
see
punch to pack. But this next round, I think, will be a
solo
little bit
carrying
different.
Heretics.
I'm seeing Autumn again going for the glass cannon, and that was most certainly the turning point of the last half. He was getting so much value out of that operator.
But do you agree with it on the attack?
That's the thing. It's so much more difficult. In fact, if you look at every opening duel he
Hi,
had,
Victor.
it
How
was
are
reliant
you?
on him putting down his trap, him posting on an angle they couldn't be on just yet, or maybe just peeking out, and then just waiting. And they have to push you because they're the attackers. They have to attack. Now, that's not quite the same. And catching Heretics out will be a big difficulty, I think.
I think
Sound
as well,
on?
when you're up against
So,
a composition that is
should I
double
increase the sound?
initiator,
What do you want?
double smokes, like you don't really need to be pushing. You don't need to be taking mass amounts of aggressive control that hasn't already been cleared by some sort of piece of utility. So I think, yeah, sure, maybe the Heretics make this decision and go, okay, they've taken a pause, let's try and take some space, let's try and battle with them a little bit. But when you have yourself all of that utility, all the finances behind you and Thrash, if you're doing that without any utility behind it, then you deserve to get killed by Autumn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they can also see the credits, and at this point, you know that there's a chance Autumn does that same
after the last
shenanigans.
half.
Yeah. The last time you looked and went, nah, he probably won't go for the op. He couldn't get shields. And then collateral. Well, 10-5 we go. FPX still up well above their opponents. MiniBoo getting confident, getting aggressive, and getting shut down early on.
Oh, yeah.
FPX have found an easy opening duel. You talked about no need to push, Tom. Well, it looks like Heretics missed the memo.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea. Like, the supportive utility was there, but it's definitely put them in an awkward spot. As I said, after a pause, a lot of teams will take a gamble, but when you're 10-5 down, that gamble hasn't paid off, and it's not getting any better.
And with Rian's down as well, big clutch player for the squad. A lot of utility that's going to help you to get back into a site. There's not a lot to hope for, except Woot finding some semblance of hope with a quick pick. Clearing out the space towards Bath, finding one player. He knows that's probably an isolated duel, one he's happy to take.
Okay.
And even with the decay, with the vulnerability, he is still able to win that duel. We're back to a 3v3. It's winnable for Heretics, and the flank hasn't yet been spotted from Gen.G Fishy.
Boo, trying to get something. The steps will have been heard. And the TP has been removed, but they're still wary of where life is going. In fact, he's going all the way around the back. He's in their spawn. Autumn picks off Gen.G. This now becomes so much more awkward because that player up above is going to leave them in disarray, but Woot is still going, still thriving, still trying to find anything that he can with Autumn, just buying as much time as possible, just baiting them as much as he can, and they're only just getting onto that diffuse. He needs to try and find the shot. Is there going to be time for it? Is the question. There will be.
Wow. Heretics have done one hell of a job getting back into that one. I think Autumn going out with the classic, he thought he could buy a little bit of time, but they were swinging wide looking for the fight. This squad started it out with confidence, getting aggressive, and it didn't work out, but the recovery is there. Now they're sat with rifles, they're sat with Thrash, and this puts FPX in a really rough spot with barely anything to work with. And Woot's the man that pulls them out of this abyss that they were in. The fact that they're not only able to find the first, but he goes back to Bath, takes a fight inside a snakebite against a player who knows he's there, and still wins it.
I think also just the confidence he had in Boo, because if he lets go, this becomes a much closer round. Like, you hear a second tap and life doesn't have to swing, but it forced him into a position where eventually there was a lot of time left on that clock. This time, though, with Heretics slowly climbing, it's only going to be pistols. Sure, you got that headhunter available, and they're going to clear control to
collect up the orbs. They're putting it onto Life, which is interesting because he is not even remotely close to his ultimate.
Time to jump.
Oh, I guess you're wanting to farm it up early. Strange, I guess. You can see like a Nightfall for next round.
60-40 is the win rate for Heretics right now in the poll.
Maybe they just know that Young's got a weapon that he can tap someone in the head with. He's probably going to get his ult off of it. Fair play. Got to have faith in your teammates. For Heretics, there are a few risks here playing up close, but there's always a second player doubled up on it. MiniBoo and Woot as an example, but Woot's dropped right off rip. MiniBoo, though, able to get it done. That's what we're talking about, having that second man to provide that cover to trade it out. They don't want to lose too many more players. Keeping the economy healthy early on is a big factor, and Spike's gone the other direction. Pressure's on for BenG.
The problem is they haven't got as far forward as they probably would have liked. He's going to wait, almost play the bait, just hold on while they fight his teammates. It's all too easy for BenG. Oh, now for Lysor, if anything, he just needs to make sure he dies. Not wanting to just hold on to a pistol for the next round. He's going to go swinging. Already has the ult, so it's not even going to be for the orbs in the end. Heretics have brought this back into contention, 10-7. Not too far away now, and this is where you kind of expect for FPX to have more of a response.
And again, ult dedication. You get a Nightfall for FPX right now, but I mean, a relatively big factor, honestly, in a round like this. 10-7, economy's on the line. Autumn's going in for another glass cannon. They're so willing to play without those shields. I mean, they rarely get to fire a bullet back at them, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But 3 rounds in the difference. Heretics on the road to recovery. And the defensive side, well, a little bit of aggression to go down. MiniBoo sends through the boom bot. It finds nothing. And on the back of it, I expected aggression. If it was Life, you'd see aggression, but they backed off.
BenG will be revealed, but he has support. And it's actually the spam through the orb.
Second half, they are
ends up
carrying
taking
it
down
back.
Life. That's not the man you wanted to lose early on in this round. Because as said, like, you look at the other side, what have you now got? You've lost your star duelist. You have a double controller, single initiator, and a chamber. Like, this is not a space-taking composition if you lose the Yoru in the early stages of the round.
And not just that, for the round that's in it, economy on the line. Heretics about to build up a massive lead in terms of eco if they can avoid losing too many. This is a round that FPX don't want to be pulling any punches, and losing one of their big entries is definitely going to hurt them. BenG not going for the orb. Could have been Viper's Pit online, but he knows that risk not worth it at all. Thrash sent in, and Berlin's already pushed way too far forward. Perfect timing from Rienz on the ultimate. The snake bite keeping them back, and as they attempt to fade through the orb, Rienz gets another blind through the smoke. The spike recovered by Lysor, soon to be gifted to Heretics by the looks of things. But the op comes in, the shot fired, lands nothing, and now they'll be much more cautious. In fact, the molly gets him. Oh, it's a disaster. 30 HP for Lysor. He's at least got 2, but 8 seconds left. Spike to be planted, players to be dropped, and even saving is impossible. MiniBoo's got him sectioned in.
God, a gorgeous interplay. That was the combination of the two players of Rienz and BenG. Like, just whether the orb was going up to just keep everybody low as they tried to run in. They also had the snake bite, the cover that was there when the ultimate was being used to make sure that they couldn't properly close him down. Like, it was just perfect from these two. And okay, that was the only risk, was when Berlin got through, but Rienz was just about quick enough. And you can see, just combining their utility, working as a team. And again, I said Rienz had been a little bit quieter in that first half. He is now 16-12. He is climbing up the board and putting them just 2 rounds away after what was looking commanding. Like, this was, again, I think it was both pistols going the way of FPX this time. Again, a very good first half where they ended with a pretty hefty lead, getting that second pistol over the line. And now they've lost 4 rounds in a row. And I think we're starting to see the holes in where this comp is just not as good on the attack.
That's it. They really need to find a solution there, and I'm not sure that's an easy solution to find. Like, 4 rounds in a row, it's not the end of the world. We've seen so many teams recover, and a lot of the times that's going to be necessary. You lose the 4 as you're learning. What are your opponents doing? How can you adapt to it? What are the gaps in your attack? But for FPX, those gaps are hard to plug with limited utility. I need to see Life not going down early round, and I'm not sure I can blame him for it.
You need to see Autumn go for a glass cannon rifle? It's because he's getting tour de force if he gets one orb, but it's definitely it's a risk that if he just dies,
Heretics are
okay, he
boys.
sold it. I thought he was. I kind of.
You got the golden gun, man. You go Headhunter alongside shields and then go for the orb. Well, then you get one kill. You've got a big gun, a big sniper. Makes a bit more sense.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wanted him to do it.
I didn't, so I'm quite happy with where we've ended up here.
I'm rolling with the chaos. Chaos is where they've succeeded. Chaos is where they will win. Now they've got a few ults for this one. Young, Guardian. He's going to be better in this round.
I actually think this is over then for Heretics, to be honest. I don't care about Autumn's ultimate. It's Young's Guardian. 3 headshots is a minimum. He might get 4. We'll see.
Yeah, the only thing that will stop him is if it's through a wall.
Yes.
Then he'll only take down maybe one player.
If Lysor uses the Viper's Pit while Young has a Guardian, he's trolling. You need to give him the long-range angles. Let him just headshot. But no, for real, at this point, Heretics, A-site, feeling a bit of pressure. They're just going to fall back. They're going to concede the control. That could get Pit down for FPX and give them a real chance to fight for this round.
Young is spamming. Woot has somehow managed to dodge every single bullet. There goes that Viper's Pit, but with an immediate response. Both Nightfalls thrown in. Everything being placed into this round by both teams, but they have been able to buy quite a bit of time. MiniBoo playing a game with Chicken. Berlin on the other side, and while MiniBoo comes out on top, they now have to deal with this man. He goes for a little bit more. They've also lost the Pit. This is a bigger problem now. Life has at least been able to recover one, but it's left onto Young, and there's a counter Pit in play. He has to make a play into it, and they're watching for this. They're ready for this, but he managed to bypass them. It didn't matter in the end. Gen.G was waiting, holding that line. And now the difference down to just 1. And as I said, Mitch, they committed quite a lot into that round.
Well, yeah, they committed a hell of a lot. Getting themselves in, counter Nightfall, Pit, that then got counter-pitted as well. I mean, this is big investment from FPX. And then we look at this round as well. The fact that their economy was put in. The next round, we'll see light shields and rifles for them as well. How MiniBoo gets the second, I don't know. And a quick trade from Rienz drops the Pit. At that point, the round is lost. I think that's the defining fight. And as well as that, MiniBoo was like 20 HP, pushing through lamps for the first kill he got, just crouched waiting. A ballsy play, and certainly fair to say that, you know, we started this out by talking about his confidence levels. I don't think that's an issue right now. He seems to have found his groove.
He's getting back into it at least, and as I said, that was always going to be dangerous. A streak of rounds, and this would be both maps now, where the FPX have found themselves in pretty hefty advantages, and they are starting to slip in a similar way. It will be a crushing way to go into that lower bracket, and of course have to face off against Sentinels. I don't think there'll be many teams that will have had to be eliminated from 2 tournaments only playing against Masters finalists. That would be the brutal way to go out. Life, though, here is that ult. Something they were looking for, but there are multiple players ready and waiting. The utility is so good, though. It's fantastic to support him.
And Young with another. Yeah, Rienz had thrown his own bit of util out, the Dizzy to try to get space, but he's denied it. Boo and Woot left with a tough decision. Do they go for this? They've got plenty of cash, so I see no reason why not, but it'll be hard to find it. Okay, player in the corner, but Autumn's clean on the first shot, and the flash leaves Boo in the corner. Autumn can post up, and that's where he's found most of his success in this series. 11-9 now for FPX. They found a little bit of a recovery. This could have been disastrous as well with their credits down to the last, but, well, they're back on the board.
You can see why they want that dimensional drip so bad. Because when Life has that, he uses it to basically pinpoint where the paranoia needs to go, has his own pop flash to leave the players at the back of the site completely blind, and then sticks the landing with it. And that's, there's so much interplay that they can have around that ultimate. The look now will be, what do they do when it's not there? And I actually think that, okay, sure, for Heretics, I understand where there's a pause. You won 5 rounds in a row, you finally lose one, you're 2 away from this map slipping away. But I actually think FPX would have been really happy to have a pause here as well.
It feels like I am
because you're now going to sit there and go, okay,
I am
we
getting
used
tired.
the ultimates that we knew would work. We were literally farming orbs when there was
the teams
one
play
orb
so
on Life.
boring, yaar.
I don't know how many, it was 6 or 7
Bhai,
on a
type
teammate.
kaise kar raha hai?
And now, well, we don't have that. What are we going to do instead? Sure, we got Tour de Force. We got Berlin from the shadows, which I'll be honest, on Berlin I actually think could be impactful. He's a bit crazy sometimes. And well, Heretics are more looking just to get back into the swing of things as they were over the last few rounds, because the 5-round streak it was pretty clean. I don't think there were too many scenarios where it looked like FPX were even going to challenge them at all.
No, those streak of rounds, if they can replicate it, that's what they're after. Maybe FPX have that response. Like we said, Life uses ultimate. This is a game changer in that round, but you're not going to have that online for quite a while. Now, though, we look at Autumn. I believe he's activated his ult before barriers have gone up.
You want to
Tour de force as he challenges them to a game and see if they do want to play. Certainly early on, no form of aggression, and the Dizzy just reveals a player's outside the site, and with the ult in play, you do not want to go checking who it is.
Straight away. One of the TPs has had to be used just to get out of the seas. I think they are trying to deny Life farming up those orbs. We've seen the singular buy round they've managed to win come off the back of his ultimate. And again, 3 players ready and waiting. It's allowed by the aggressive position over in Hookah that's being held. And now Boo, well, he's going to be under pressure. Another double ping, and wow, Woot's caught.
Always seems to be the place they get curious is exactly where Autumn is. Rienne's able to trade, but the disadvantage remains for the side of Heretics. Although Rienne finds another, we're in the same boat. MiniBoo, showstopper, not going to heaven though. Needs to pull his rifle out pretty soon because there's a peek coming in from Young, getting aggressive, and it was not expected with the tour de force landing a shot. It's 12 for FPX. 3 chances to close this out. The same position Heretics were in on the last map.
Yeah. No, we are seeing a lot of similarities, but this time the streak ended a little bit earlier, and FPX now in that driver's seat. And I like a lot of the interplay in this round. Firstly, just aggressive plays, like when the Haunt goes up, swinging off the back of it. You know that somebody's going to try and shoot that to not reveal the position. The patience of Autumn, this was the value of having him on that operator. That was what they were looking for the entire time. When space is made, re-aggression coming in, being caught, and the fact that he gets the last player as well. Ultimates still in a decent spot though for Heretics. They could respond.
Oh, they could, but Boo's down to start this one off. It's not looking pretty. Life even finds another Lysor, trading out some of the disadvantages, but Benji's done well. His 2 picks puts it back to neck and neck. And now an opportunity with the spike dropped right under their nose for FPX. Look, if there was any 2 players you wanted to put in a clutch position, you probably would choose these guys. Autumn and Life have been very impressive, having to dodge the thrash and just about managing the TP. Although he gets detained, he's at least safe around the corner. They get to reset, and thrash won't be recovered.
He's been caught by absolutely everything over the last couple of rounds, but he will be able to hold on. It's unfortunate because they actually cleared the B site, but just didn't realize that singular kill on Taboo was enough. Ran the spike into A. And of course for Heretics, they're not just sitting pretty. They're going to go walkabouts, going to go looking to see if they can reposition. Now taking the TP would actually find an open site. The timing not working out great for the side of Heretics, and they're going to have to take the long road all the way back around. Now it might not be expected though for them to have pushed this far up so soon. The problem is, I think they're a little bit worried about full sprinting just in case someone still lurked in mid.
Well, I mean, conventionally speaking, this is where players will have already started the rotate. I think that's what FPX are playing for, that Team Heretics will be coming through the spawn. Maybe in their minds they've already stepped onto the site. Little do they know it is the long play, but with the positions FPX are manning, they don't really have to worry about that. It's not an angle they're super exposed to, it's just Life, but now he's got the info, and the shot landed to start this one off. Big swing to get the trade, and Autumn finds him with his back turned. Beautifully played by FPX, and they've managed to take bind a map that we were counting them out on, and of course we were. This has been a stellar map for Heretics, but not today.
And
no, it's another scenario where a team has come into their map choice.
Now
we
you
put them
comment
out
your
as
choices.
favorites. And it's gone the other way, and that means that we need ourselves a decider. Lotus will be coming up after the break.
joined by Gen.G, Fishy, and Autumn, and today we are going to be playing Agree to Disagree. It's fairly simple. They have got some, well, I guess, cards, and basically I'm going to ask them a statement, and they have to tell me if they agree or disagree. Very straightforward. We're going to be starting off talking about our newest map. Abyss is the funniest map created so far.
Funniest?
Funniest. Have you had any laughs?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay. When do we count down?
Go for it. No, just go for it. Straight away.
Agree. Yeah, not as strongly.
Wait, British is better?
It is better, yes.
What is Australian food then?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say there's not really that.
What is Australian? What's
cuisine.
a typical Australian?
Shepherd pie.
A shepherd's
meat
pie.
pie.
That is also
that's English as well, bro.
Do you know what a parma is?
A parma?
Yeah, like a chicken schnitzel with like.
Oh, like in a wrap or what?
Chicken schnitzel with like cheese and tomato sauce, like pizza sauce.
Oh, I think I might have had it before.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm
that's
gonna be.
A chicken
I mean, the thing
parmesan.
is,
isn't that American?
Maybe. I mean,
Australian cuisine's not really a thing, but
that's the thing. Neither is like. I mean, you've got some English stuff, but like, I see Australia as just like a hotter England. To be honest, that's where I see it. I'm gonna go disagree because you know even though I'm British, I'm not a huge fan of British food.
Disagree though.
Yeah, we both disagree. Okay, respect.
Okay. Well, the final and most important question. Tom looks good in his leather jacket.
Right. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Okay. Right, we're going to end it there. Thank you, guys. We're going to be throwing it straight off to the desk. Just remember that one. I look fantastic. We'll see you in a bit.
Welcome back, everyone, as FPX forces a map 3 taking Bind, which we all thought was basically all done and dusted. But that goes to show you when it's Champions time, I mean, anything is possible here. And they even did it with a composition that was fascinating, to say the least.
Inexplicable
Yeah.
is the way I would call that one. Because they came out and, I'm gonna be real, I didn't see the vision fully with this composition. I'm still not sure if I did. But
I don't know if they're...
I think Team Heretics in a lot of these rounds overcomplicated things a little bit.
Yeah.
They kept on trying to go for these slow rounds, and they kept on contacting into players, just holding angles. It was Life holding aggressive on short. It was the chamber and showers. In so many of the...
Champion Seoul, we're going to map 3. It's Lotus. Let's find out who walks away with the dub. We're going to send it back over to Mitch and Tom for the call.
Thank you very much, GB. Yeah, listen, a 3-mapper between these two teams, I would have said it's likely at the start of this series, but after seeing Abyss, I wasn't so sure.
Did they sit down at the wrong computers? Why
Maybe.
is Woot on Omen? Why is Boo on Fade? Like, they've switched, but they brought in some of the same agents and then just sat down at the other computer. Rians is also switching to the Viper. Like, again, this is something completely different to what we're normally seeing. They're bringing in that double controller, which I don't mind. I can only assume it's because Woot's going to look to be that little bit more aggressive. Although saying that, Rians is the one that's pushing up.
Curious look for Heretics. My goodness. Well, let's see how this one pans out. Haven't seen Boo on the Fade in quite a while. In fact, doesn't even have that many games on it in total. Autumn has gone down right away. A few assists coming in. The Fade alongside the decay from the Viper wall. And they're looking to push right in towards Heretics' position. Boo, well, he has a tracer, a rough idea of where those players are, but he can't land the shots. Luckily, the rest of the squad is there to cover all bases. A flawless start to this one, 1-0 for Heretics.
Will it work? No, I'm kidding. That would be a little bit of it. But the thing is, winning both pistols has been the defining point of the map so far. Like, they've been both incredibly close. Okay, one of them went to OT, so I guess the pistols maybe weren't the most clinical thing in the world, but it could have meant that that first map went the way of FPX, and getting off to a good start here for the side of Heretics is going to be so important. I'm excited to see some of these role switches. As said, like, there's opportunities to see Woot get more aggressive. Like, a lot of the time, you're going to see that lockdown of the A site with the triple push up and then leaving that Omen behind. We saw players who used to be duelists and stuff do it in the past, but Woot has sort of played.
But he's not going to be doing that this time around. We heard from Alpha here at the end of stage 2 that he's very bored of playing the same role again and again, that he wants to play everything.
But didn't Woot got Controller of the Year in EMEA, right?
He
so
got
just like,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, I'm going for Initiator now, lads. I'm going for the Initiator of Champions. Because why bother? Why bother playing the controller anymore when you've already completed it?
Yeah, completed it, mate. Got 100%.
This round
should be very little. Any extra kills would be nice for FPX, and not an awful start. Managing to get those trades. Now, we haven't really talked about it as much, but the thing I love about this attack side triple controller is it means they can actually use that Viper screen for space into the B site for Wu. He's going to be on cleanup crew. Now, any extra cost here would be a weapon dropped. They've only lost pistols so far.
Yeah, and Aya has a chance, but Woot's a little too quick. He was just the same, finding the second shot onto life, and well, with those connections, that is a 2-0 start. FPX, though, doing some damage. At the end of the day, the main heavy hitters are carried over to the next.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, though. I want you to keep an eye on where that Viper screen is going for the attack, because normally it's going to be used a lot of the time for A control. You're going to use it to try and sell a bit of a ruse, but most of the time, Autumn is going to be playing it at different ways to cross into the B site. So he's going to make it so that he can sort of section off parts of the door so they can isolate in by going through the broken door, and then also it sections off heaven at the same time. So it makes things quite awkward for B site defenders, and also means that you can basically go in, and if you go from mid, you can fight a singular angle. It's quite a nice Viper screen, but one that you can't normally allow, and something they shouldn't have allowed is MiniBoo doing that.
Well, you think that when you commit life to holding an angle, that'll be enough, but MiniBoo's off to a flyer. Started the first. Rifles for the most part on the side of Team Heretics. Not that many weaknesses. Odin bought up by FPX, trying to spam down early on A, but it's converted out now for the rifle. Oh, and it's converted back, and it's converted back again. They're juggling all the way to the spawn, and it's going to be chucked away. So just the rifles carried forward. And Autumn doing work with them already. That's Boo dropped. The A site weakened a little bit, but there's still a defender here.
Genji's still around as well. Rotation already coming in from Rian, so they bolstered this A site defense, and with 3 players already committed to tree, this could be a problem. They haven't managed to get out of this spot, but Woot's going to give them the fight. In fact, Rian swings with him, and both players are dropped.
Yeah, the call was clearly made to face them together. Can't quite account for those shots landing in that fashion. FPX now only facing off against a weaker weapon in the form of Gen.G and MiniBoo, who has hit a few nice shots. We'll see if he can find a bit more. He's gone down the rope. He's on the site, round the corner. They're not expecting it. The angle's open. He finds his one. Nade thrown, but he has a player around the backside. It's Aya on his way, and Ayung not even needed, really. The kill was going to go either way, Autumn or himself. It's only about who gets the orbs. Luckily, with Ayung finding it, he's 1 away from a thrash, which could be valuable coming into round 4.
Yeah, I think they did well with just the slow pace. Like, the weaponry really wasn't that weak in this round for Heretics, but the double swing, just being patient around the angle, and actually a little bit disjointed. That was the bigger problem. Like, Lysor is the one that gets both kills, because I think Rian's is just a little bit late on the swing, and that's enough for a double kill to come through for the Omen player. Another one who likes to switch things up away from Sentinel and plenty of other roles. And this early fight, well, fair enough, Wu. I guess you can just play a duelist initiator and everything in between.
Yeah, a man of many talents, that's for sure. A jack of all trades and a master of most as well. The Odin spray from Boo. It's stylish. I like it. A little bit of damage already, but MiniBoo goes out to see if they're still there. Well, the info is at least found. Unfortunately, the advantage is lost in the meantime. Woot! Oh my goodness! 16 HP left on Berlin. 35, in fact, bit of decay in play. He's not going to be too healthy in any future fights. Thrash leading the way. B site to be cleared. I don't think it's going to find any connections. It will be recovered, though, for the post plant.
Again, you can see those smokes already put into play. Viper screen could delay even further. That's going to be the problem of getting in on this retake, is you almost have to disrespect some of the utility that is on the FPX side, otherwise you're just never going to get a moment. Paranoia is still available for Woot, but does he use it up top? That's the real problem.
Yeah, he does, but he doesn't catch Lysor. It was used too shallow. And I believe Thrash, yeah, it's just now back online. So the chances of this round going the way of Heretics next to none, with Rien's desperately trying to escape, but running straight into the waiting hands of Autumn. That is a nice equalization. And for FPX, the ball is most certainly rolling on this attack.
Yeah, getting the hang of things. And again, we've seen this where a lot of the time the team that gets off to a good start is going to eventually slow down a little bit. Those pistols have almost been a burden of the first half, but in the second it definitely helps out a little bit more. I like that we're seeing a lot of the early fights actually be taken by the Omens. Like, again, you're playing a double controller, so it's not nearly as bad as your solo smoker going down. In fact, if you're FPX, you have 2 more. And both of them managed to catch fights on elevated duels. Again, FPX are going to challenge for this control. Maybe expecting a little bit more resistance, but it's much more passive. The weaponry is not ideal, but if they can delay, there is a flank coming. And you have to take into consideration there is no Sentinel online for FPX.
Young's lost half his HP through a spam through the door with the Sheriffs. And a push up from C. Lots of information. Yeah, I think FPX definitely expected a bit more aggression from Heretics. Remember last round, they took the space very quickly, sending life out into the open, but there was a player up top above their smoke, destroying their flash and taking a free kill on a player in the air. Now, they're much more cautious of that early aggression. Dizzy to be thrown through. Nobody caught by it. So in goes the wingman for the plant. Almost undeniable, but a potential reveal with the swings out. They hope they can convert a couple of kills, but they are kept in position, whether it be by bullets or utility. There's not much to be done on the side of Team Heretics. Just Woot and Gen.G left to try and clutch it all. 2 versus 5. The best they can hope for is damage.
Yeah, either that or to go down to the spike. A couple of ultimates getting relatively close. Nice shot from Gen.G. We know how dangerous he is with this Sheriff. Looking for a little bit more. 3 kills already. Another one comes up for Wu as well. It's now somehow left on to just Berlin. This round was looking all but done. He's been revealed. They know where he is as well. And already sending utility, but it hasn't connected. It doesn't even matter. 2 players survived. After what was every single man standing for FPX, somehow Gen.G and Wu have pulled off a miracle.
2v5 with only Sheriffs. MasterCard Thrifty on the back of Gen.G Fishy walking in to Tree alone with a pistol in his hand. This is absolutely outrageous. Swinging in for the next. The first shot didn't hit. The correction was there. And I think he even headshot the other player through the wall, assisting on the kill. That is a Gen.G Fishy round, and immediately FPX call a timeout. That's not a round you can ever afford to lose.
That might be the hardest they've ever hit the timeout button. That has got to be infuriating. And that's the thing, we talk about this with Gen.G. One of the funniest things was that up until very recently in EMEA, he'd never got an ace.
Yeah.
Do you remember the gun he got the ace with?
It was a Sheriff on Pine, wasn't it?
It was a Sheriff on Pine.
Yeah.
It just seems to be where, I don't know, maybe he puts like 85% of his practice. I know that's not true, but somehow just looks so good when it comes to the pistol. And that as said, that's got to be a backbreaker for FPX. Like, you're in a very powerful post plant. I don't even think it was played that badly. Like, they try and re-swing off a pistol and just get domed. Sure, if you group up and stay together, he's never winning that, but to critique them trying to fight a guy using a Sheriff.
But I'll tell you what, Tom, if you were the last guy alive in your rank game, I think you'd critique them trying to fight a Sheriff.
Sure.
That's for damn sure. But
maybe if it was Gen.G Fishy, but unfortunately, he ain't in my rank games.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, I think you should be pretty grateful he's not around, Tom. The 3-2.
Maybe let me win.
I don't think he likes you that much.
Feel pity.
I don't think. But 3-2 for Team Heretics. I don't think they were expecting to win round number 5 when it started, and when they were in the 2v5, they certainly weren't. They're given a lifeline to keep the lead early on, deny FPX the foothold on this map. The attack side left with 2. Rifles bought up. A lot of the credits are down to their last, down to the wire. We don't. Okay. Don't want to see any crazy risks taken by FPX. They've got to be cautious in this round. It was Woot that got aggressive, that tried to get up in their face. He's lost his life now. That robo control not quite going his way, but Rienz has done well to trade it out.
Hey, I'm almost wondering how. It looked like there was a smoke down. Did he just tap a couple of bullets through it?
I think
he was still towards the A site. Maybe, it is possible, but even still, it must have just been a pixel shot that he connected. I'll be happy with that because the early aggression definitely didn't pay off. Still have a showstopper available and actually gambled back towards the C site. 3 players. Come on, Boo. Maybe a little bit lucky to be alive. He's going to fall back with the smoke shutting him off completely and that control going the way of FPX. The only problem is they don't have a mass amount of time to only be getting this control now. There's still a lot to do.
If they switch back to B, they could be in trouble. I think that's going to be the play. Usually when it's low time left, that's where teams decide to take it. The spike's certainly on its way, but the nade has kept them back, bought a little bit more time. We're down to 20 seconds. And Team Heretics now have rotated in to assist on the A side. They're ready for this push. Oh, they're just now pulling back from it, giving up that space. It looks like FPX, despite the clock being against them, will just about have enough time to get this planted.
Yeah, I don't think they mind that though. Having the lockdown available and the showstopper. In fact, the showstopper committed immediately. Maybe trying to force players back. Instead, Lysol goes forward. Gives them that advantage. Another comes up as well. Finally, Boo has managed to get a response, but it's whether or not they even want to commit the lockdown. I think at this stage, it would be, well, an oversight to put that into play. Gen.G, well, he pulled off an impossible clutch moments ago. This one might even have to be better, and Lysol's not going to give him the time of day. An instant response from the side of FPX, and we're level again.
Big round by Lysor. That showstopper would have done damage, and I'm pretty sure MiniBoo on the fall off from it is picking up a little bit more, but he swings in. And the thing is, I saw two players behind, and the fact that he's able to get out of there, reset for a fight later on is huge. The fact that Woot, look, this is Woot playing an Omen. He's 7-3. He's having a good game so far, and he decides not to go for the standard control over Rubble where you shrouded step across, you tuck in, maybe you have a reveal come through. Instead, he's just peeking it because they don't get contact early. They don't have the wall. They're just assuming that FPX aren't going there. So in taking the space, he loses the fight to Autumn. Not an easy player to face off against on those shift peaks. But now we're neck and neck yet again. But the problem is
information.
The Heretics only have, well, Sheriffs on most players, Tom.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't possibly do anything with those.
They should have the read, though. They've pushed up C. They put Prowlers through B. So they basically know that this is going to be that early A control. So they can stack players up here. Bit of spam from either side, but they have to be wary of a potential double back towards the B side. And with Boo already being tagged low, there is going to be a push. Oh, immediately broken. And they're actually going to try and push into Rians. I was about to say, going through a snake bite would be an incredible risk in a round where it's not necessary at all.
Especially with things like this now. Orb into Young and almost a double detain. But Thrash is stopped at the last second. MiniBoo up close now. Sheriff in hand, not able to land the shots. Life whizzing right by him as Lysor finds another. Now things are looking to be locked in for FPX. Just a few pistols left, and Gen.G's not getting away with it this time around.
Yeah, still a little bit of damage across players, but not anything to write home about. 4 of the last 5 rounds, and well, we know what round 5 was. I don't think we need to tell you twice. Actually, Heretics are going to take themselves a pause. Understandable. This is one that seems to be starting to get away from them a little bit. A team that has had their ups and downs on this map, no doubt about it. A recent loss to the side of Vitality, I think, has called in this mass change in, well, maybe not so much compositionally, but more so for the roles that they're being played on. And for the other side of things, okay, they've had a couple of losses here and there, but it definitely feels like a middle ground. It's always close when FPX are playing.
Hi everyone, sorry, I'm back and running.
And losing around to a Sheriff.
भाई ये है ना, earphone was dead, तो मैं meeting speaker पे ले रहा था. आप लोगों को मेरा कॉल सुनना था, boring call नहीं ना? But yeah, we are finally back.
Viper's Pit to the showstopper. Cosmic Divide less so. It could be
मैं
online
देखो,
for this.
इस पे stream चल रही है.
It's been a little bit slower.
इस stream चल रही है, फिर meeting चल रही थी. इस पे actual में देख रहे हैं वो हो रहा है. So
also it's tough with this comp. Like you're playing a
पागल
solo
हो जाएगा मैं.
initiated triple controller. Like,
But I am back now. If you are watching it here, stay. Vote करो यार. 62% Heretics. ये हालत देख रहे हो इनकी? वो बेंजी पिछली ने एक राउंड जिता दिया, वरना हालत थी नहीं इनकी. But we'll do serious stuff. Serious, full serious commentary. So now MiniBoo is ready with the nade, and I feel they are going to do W gaming. एक तरफ nade, and they are dumping utilities in one way, and FPX ने पूरा space free में दे दिया. You waste the utility, and they are leaving the A site at all. They are going C. That's good. But I feel हर round ये लोग A आ रहे हैं, तो उनका C weak होगा. That's why they wanted to go कि वो C पर जाएं. So let's see. C is for full retake. They have 3 ults, Killjoy and वाइपर और ये फेड 3 अल्ट है उनके पास, so let's see. Okay, Killjoy तो गई, एक अल्ट डाउन हो गई यहाँ पर. और नाइस, बुआ रेंज भाई कैरी, बुआ रेंज कैरी कर रहे हैं भाई, कैरी कर रहे हैं भाई, कैरी.
I think that caught everybody and then they just didn't hear the sound behind them. What a play from the
भाई नाइटफॉल पे गेट खोलना is almost impossible gameplay. You do the nightfall, you open the gate and it's 99% you get the kills.
They are close by.
Oh, they absolutely are. Lysor knows that, having already heard the Prowler go around the corner.
Guys, एक मिनट रुकना, चाय बना के आओ थोड़ी सी.
Here's his opportunity. That door's going to open. That's a 1v1. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, Boo's playing it smart. If he opens the door, he gives him an avenue back into the game, back into the round. Instead, he's going to have to take down 3. Already 1 through the smoke, and the spams came close, but not close enough. There may be a hole in MiniBoo's earphones, but he's still rocking and rolling with most of his HP. FPX not going to keep the lead for too much longer. We're now tied up again, neck and neck.
Yeah, that was a huge play as well, because the thing is, we haven't seen FPX go towards the C site at all, and the initial entry was fantastic, the combination of utility, but then Boo just uses the Nightfall, and no one is aware that he's just going to open that door and go for the fight. Maybe they thought it was for delay, maybe they thought someone would come in from behind, but the way that he just opens the door and sprays them all down before any utility is put into place was absolutely perfect. Couldn't have timed it any better. Again, though, we now look at the response, because so far, Heretics have either won their rounds off hero plays, but actually just really off hero plays, or it's been the pistol.
Early fight and early success for MiniBoo. They tried to cross this one conventionally, and it's not even Woot's Rubble control that matters. The quick one shot to the head. Team Heretics, 4 players early on A main, now start to fill in the rest of the space. Again, they're confident to play retakes on B or C with a lockdown in play. No worries, really. It looks like the B site retake will be necessary. Paranoia used. I expect Boo to fall back. I see him stood on the edge of that wall, though, and I'm thinking maybe he's going to go for a little nasty play. He's waiting for their aggression for sure. Viper's Pit used from the
Heretics
forward.
are
It gives them a
coming
little
back in
avenue
form.
through, actually. They'll get very close with a lockdown in play. The players are sent tumbling back in the other direction. They almost have to fight forward for the most part. Boo's ready for them to start with, and Lysor manages to make it out, but denying this defuse could be difficult. They're going to have to find a couple of picks. With the players sneaking in inside the pit, they could already be defusing. And someone needs to get on that to check that they aren't. Pit gets dropped. Shots landed by Berlin. Put them in a good position with the wall down. Benji has the line of sight on Ion and lands the shot to bring it across the line. That was a chaotic round, but I have to say, I like what Team Heretics are trying there.
FPX भी जीत सकती है. तो 60-40
from FPX is cool. It gets you into the afterplan, but just the ultimates that were available made it so difficult. Like you had the lockdown to force them into an awkward position. The Viper's Pit meaning, okay, are you going to run through a Viper's Pit into a lockdown to try and destroy it? No, that makes it impossible. So the only place they could go was try and push into Boo, who was ready for it. And then it's just like, okay, even then you have that control. There is no line of sight onto the spike. There is no. You have to go running through a smoke or fight back in. And even still, Berlin made it close. The fact he gets 2 is impressive. Even still, Heretics have regained.
भाई एक राउंड पुश करा, दूसरा राउंड वेट कर रहे हैं. ये लोग फुल 5 मैन वेट कर रहे हैं पुश का. With 10 operator, no operator.
A light shield or 2 just to pad the gap. They're the ones with the Viper's Pit in this round, and Boo. Well, it's not long ago I remember him using a Nightfall to win them around. He's 1 away.
You know, last round 4 players on A from Team
Viper
Heretics.
ult है. Viper को side मिल गई तो they will eat it out.
To deny Rubble control. They push up, taking the fight immediately on the players emerging from the spawn, deleting life. I think it was MiniBoo that did that. This time MiniBoo's on the C side.
भाई Astra lurk कर रही है और Raze wait कर रहा है. So they know the lurk. Killjoy B का turret देख रहा है और Killjoy का turret B देख रहा है और Killjoy मरने वाला है. अगर से पीक करा हील है. नहीं पीक करियो. नहीं पीक करियो. नहीं पीक करियो. नहीं पीक करियो. भागले 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 भागले. ना 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 ओवर हो गया. Astra will die. Raze मारेगा Astra को.
And they got killed from behind. So they haven't need to stack up on this side of the map. The late rotation, the orb going up is going to be a problem. MiniBoo
playing up close, still has his nade. They haven't baited out any of this utility, and the push-up from Life might try and sell the idea, but Berlin is just sat within this smoke. Rotation of the spike goes back, but he gets shot. He gets denied. Now they have to go in. They have to push in. Rians has rotated through, dropped the spike on the ground, but he gets caught. Do they have time? Is the question. Running in onto the site. I think they've just about got this plant. It's going to be incredibly close and just on the nose.
That's Viper's pit to defend the plant
Viper
as well.
pit on the
This
move.
was down to less than a second, but now the advantage is clearly in favor of FPX. Sure, some of these players are low, but everyone's going to be low on Heretics once they get near that spike.
Right there.
Utility. Luckily, Life was dropped and he had a nade. That would have been a death sentence, but Berlin putting up a fight. 29 HP. That's his third kill of the round, and Young easily taking down Woot, jumping up above. Neck and neck yet again, and it seems to be very hard to separate these two teams.
Well, yeah, that round came down to what, like half a second? Riens, I think if he swings a millisecond later, and you can't really blame him for it. Berlin winning a fight, running through a smoke with MiniBoo waiting on the other side, and then killing the second guy. This was his round. And well, a little bit of luck it seems at the end, but that was just so to the wire. And as I said, you understand why Heretics only left a player there. There hasn't been any successful C-takes, and there's only been one prior to that round. It's absurd because normally you see, well, the C-site is a pretty hefty part of a lot of teams' game, a lot of executions, especially when you have a raise. But for FPX so far, it hasn't been a big part of the game plan. 5-5, and as I said, the economy was on the brink last round, and it stinks for Heretics in this round.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of sheriffs, a Bucky brought out by Benji Fishy. I'm not sure about that one, to be honest. And sometimes you'll see, the orb up close like last round. Maybe he can get the value. No, he's going to have to do this dry. That's not an easy task for anybody. Has managed to get close, but the first shot doesn't land. The second does. A chance for a little bit more. He's dropped. But the Bucky isn't. It's recovered.
Hero Bucky.
Boo now has it in his hands. 2 bullets left, and he's out of here. Maybe a chance to reload as well.
Wonderful. He's got the skin for it at least. One of my personal favorites, but I can't say I'm expecting much from the Bucky from this point onwards. Boo does have his ult, so does MiniBoo. I don't think they're going to want to commit them here and more. With Boo already dead, the Bucky might find another player. It has. Riens has got one, but they're in fact going to invest the Thrash, just trying to make sure that this round doesn't fall away from them. It's still a 2v2 scenario and not the cleanest from Young, but he'll get the job done in the end. Lead taken from FPX, this continuous back and forth that we've seen throughout this map. Come on. We now look at Heretics to see if they can respond and even things up. I feel like that's sort of where it should go.
Well, with how things have gone so far, yeah, let's carry it out to the end of the half. Defensive side, I feel like one of the weird things about watching this from having seen Heretics play so many games here is that normally you have Boo constantly on Rubble. They always have a main control, and there's been such a different identity to this defensive side. At least in this half, with the comp switches, you can very much tell that there's a different idea behind playing these agents, and I think I'm curious to see how their attack pans out. Imagine more of a blob movement and less variety to what we're seeing here.
Well, yeah, with the whole composition, they weren't running themselves with Viper, so maybe joining the norm a little bit more there. It does also mean they don't have that breach anymore, which I think was a big talking point for Riens. Someone who's so fantastic with that supportive utility is going to have to do it in a different way. Again, we see this patient, passive FPX. I think if you watched the last map, you wouldn't have expected to hear those words come out of my mouth, but this has looked incredibly different. Happy to play into the late round, using those rotations. That counter Nightfall is definitely going to make things awkward. You maybe expected to see some spam from Boo. Instead, Boo tries to go through.
30 seconds left.
Oh, Boo's found himself one, and he's safe in the back of the site. Showstopper's good for 2. MiniBoo making a mess of this round because that's the spike on the ground, and it looks like it's only going from bad to worse for FPX. Lysor, 1 versus 4. He'll find the first, but 10 seconds, even planting this spike is impossible, and more so now because he's dead. 6-6 at the halftime. It is difficult to separate these teams. We've had to go all the way to map 3, and it looks like we've got to go a little further.
Yeah, I think that it probably deserved to go in neck and neck. I guess you could argue with Heretics winning the pistol, maybe FPX should have come out slightly in front, but we've seen it back and forth all the way through. I think this round was much more of just that passive read after what we've seen over the last few rounds of this slow rotation. They tried to sort of hold on to it in this case, and it's worked out for them. Either way, we'll be back after the break with the second half.
Team Heretics versus